Chapter 5471. It would be a pity if it really entered the turbulence of time and space. The Soul Ladder and Change Path Ladder are amazing. If they are taken out, the effect is much better than that of Moyne Mountain. I copy the origin of 10,000 ways. This is the great blessed land of 10,000 ways. By the way, fellow Wushuang, how did your physical body recover? Dong Xing was a little curious. His physical body was strong enough. Although he was refined after becoming an emperor, he was not weak. The child can be resurrected. Wan Yan also looked at Jian Wushuang. He was equally curious, but he was not as shameless as Dong Xing to ask face to face. After all, everyone had their own secrets. Jian Wushuang didn't care about it. His enemies were never these people. There was nothing to hide, and it was not a secret opportunity. But this can be regarded as a small chassis of his. In fact, for his own strength, it is a little insignificant. My physical body was once refined in the Demon Sound Hall, but at that time, the Demon God General was not born, and some accidents occurred during the refining, which caused the flesh body to be mixed into the origin and the divine body, so that I did not have the flesh body. You can also recover out of thin air. Jian Wushuang whispered, not caring about it. The listener was extremely shocked. Dong Xing is also of the genre of the body, and his physical body is also of super quality, but he has not reached the level of 9 refinements, and he was shocked when he heard it. Actually, it is amazing to be able to integrate into the origin and the divine body. The Qishan Temple is really extraordinary. I have never heard of this kind of refining method. Dong Xing admired the emperor who followed the divine body route. Have a good impression, especially Jian Wushuang, a practitioner who refines his body to such a powerful level. They all felt that Jian Wushuang was the emperor, and Jian Wushuang did not say anything. After all, if we go on, these two people will not admire him, but will be jealous of him. Okay, let's get on the road first. Take a look at the second bridge. What tricks are we going to play again? The two became 3. Fortunately, there were no other weird things along the way. Gorefiend really scared them. When all the way to the end after a month, finally saw a golden bridge. This time, under the bridge, it is not purgatory magma, but a mundane world. Free at Golden Bridge is also written with a line of ancient characters. As for the top of the bridge, there is nothing. The more mediocre I look at, the more danger there is. This point, they all know that no one is a rookie. They are all powerhouses who have gone through endless years, and have never seen it in any world. Go up. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. There is nothing to say just in front of my eyes, just see what can be researched. It is better to go up and try. Wan Yan was also very courageous this time, and fell down and walked onto the Golden Bridge of Freedom. When he went up, Jian Wushuang and Dong Xing behind found that after entering the bridge, the figure disappeared. This shows that Zizai Jinqiao is probably an independent space. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate, and walked up directly. The moment entered, a warm feeling came, and the scene ahead was what purgatory, but a paradise on earth. The feeling of walking on this bridge is like descending on the world. Although there is a free golden bridge under my feet, my figure is in the mundane world under the bridge. All kinds of noises in my ears are endless. Jian Wushuang hasn't heard this sound for a long time. There are traffickers and pawns, luxurious and rich people, and there are exposed women in the brothel. Jian Wushuang stood among these people, as if no one could discover his existence. What does this mean? Ordinary travel? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. If that was the case, it would be too old-fashioned. He would not eat this one at all. The status of the Magic Sound General shouldn't make such a stretch of training. But he is here again. There must be something strange in this. Jian Wushuang thought of the experience of crossing the bridge the last time. It can be said to be twists and turns. The person who designed these 3 bridges is definitely a powerful person who likes to travel through the world. This test is not strength, but the power of the state of mind and soul. Jian Wushuang started to move forward, step by step. Entering it, he didn't feel strange. Soon he walked out of the Freedom Golden Bridge. He thought it was simple, but when he walked off the bridge, the scene around him began to become more real. And he himself began to change. Castle Peak, a fence alley in the west of the city. The current Jian Wushuang is a beggar, slipping a crooked stick in one hand and a broken bowl in the other. Obviously he walked out of the bridge, but did not reach the other shore, but fell into this mundane small city. He has been here for 3 days, and he hasn't eaten for 3 days. Now he is like a mortal, not even as good as an ordinary mortal. He can't even beat the wild dogs in the alleys. Jian Wushuang completely regretted it. This was simply torturing. Can't see the intention from the beginning. It was better when I passed the first bridge. It improved the soul a bit, but the improvement was really limited. It may be that he didn't like these after seeing the soul ladder. But what does this second bridge mean? Let him travel through the world? Then he threw his soul into a beggar and traveled fart. He can't stand it anymore. Snapped. The only broken bowl left was also thrown by Jian Wushuang. In the alleys of the fence, people live in poverty. After seeing a beggar throwing a bowl in despair, he felt a little sympathetic. The shopkeeper, give him 2 steamed buns and put it on my account. At a roadside stall, a middle-aged man with no patches on his clothes was sucking steaming haggis soup and waved to the stall owner. Give Jian Wushuang 2 buns. The owner of the stall was also a kind person. Not only did he give Jian Wushuang 2 steamed buns, he also handed them a bowl of hot soup. It's better to die than to live. Eat some, this winter will pass soon. You, Ukanshu. Kalu snapped. Jian Wushuang pushed away the food handed by the opponent, and he tried to beat the opponent with his stick. Go! Who is he? He is the ultimate Dao Jun, the proud son of heaven, and the peerless Tianjiao who defeats the emperor with the talent of Dao Jun. Does he need to be pitiful by others? Today, he starved to death and was frozen to death when he lay outside. He didn't need to be pitiful by others. You! The stall owner's expression sank. This is the first time he has seen this kind of beggar. Putting a hot face on a beggar's cold ass, even if the stall owner is a living Buddha, he can't do it. I don't know what it is. The stall owner walked into the house angrily, not talking about Jian Wushuang. The middle-aged man who sucked haggis soup left some copper plates, and when he slowly got up and passed Jian Wushuang, he said, "Young man, it's not good to be impetuous." Jian Wushuang sneered, laughing at the ignorance of these people, but the next words made him stunned. You don't even have the courage to live in the mundane world. How come you are facing the universe? The middle-aged man said faintly. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5472. Before Jian Wushuang could react, the opponent had disappeared. The meaning of is already obvious. The other party is not a mortal. Magic sound general? Jian Wushuang shook his head. Not like it. There were only 3 people who entered this place. Wan Yen and Dongxing didn't know if they were in this city, and they probably wouldn't pretend to be superior in front of him. Since they are all in this place, they should be like him. They are all ordinary people. It is not Dongxing, Wan Yen, or Magic Sound General. It seems that there are other people here, or not people. It is a consciousness left by the existence of the original creation of this place. Although I don't know who the other party is, Jian Wushuang can't stand that tone. It's not that he is rebellious and can't listen to others' discipline. Is this kind of trial necessary? Is it stronger than anyone who can suffer? It can only be said that the person who created this place has become smaller, and the structure has become smaller. To live, I will starve to death here today. I see what you do. Jian Wushuang secretly made up his mind. He didn't believe that starving to death here would really fall. Even if the magic sound will not make a move, the true spirit will save him if he knows it. An ultimate Taoist, a peerless Tianjiao who has the hope of reaching the top in the future, starved to death in the mundane world. What a thing! Plop. Jian Wushuang found a pleasing threshold, and lay down on his back. That's it, it's not bad to die here. Jian Wushuang ridiculed himself, and then the hunger pandemic hit. Enduring hunger, Jian Wushuang fell asleep. Twilight descended, and the cold wind roared in the dim alley. Jian Wushuang couldn't bear it, and shrank. I don't know if it is instinct or my consciousness is not firm enough. Jian Wushuang suddenly got up. Is his consciousness not firm enough? Although he has become immortal, his consciousness is still there. Why did he flinch? Thinking of this, he placed half of his body on the street again. Too stunned, Jian Wushuang shrank back, 10,000 unwilling in his heart. When fell asleep again, his body shrank into a ball, and he instinctively arranged the clothes on his body to wrap his whole body. Although his belly was screaming all the time, Jian Wushuang still slept soundly, perhaps because he hadn't slept for 3 days. After this sleep, he slept faintly. I don't know, when Jian Wushuang feels his mouth is dry and cracked, his throat feels like heat is burning, and there is a pungent smell coming from him. A stream of liquid ran down his throat, and a choking breath directly woken him up. Ahem. Jian Wushuang coughed violently and opened his eyes weakly. Everything in front of him has changed. He thought he was back to reality. When he saw the messy clothes on his body, he realized that he was still a beggar. Turned his head and looked around. This is a simple yet warm room. You are too fat, and you didn't freeze you to death in the snowdrift. A woman's voice came, and Jian Wushuang hooked his head with difficulty, only to realize that there was a young female protagonist behind, with heavy rouge on her face, but her facial features were still exquisite. Jian Wushuang's voice was a bit collapsed. He didn't think so much now, he just wanted to drink some water. Before he could speak, the woman twisted her waist and handed it over with a bowl of water. Gulu. He picked up the bowl and took a sip, only feeling that the whole person became refreshed. This is the best water he has ever drunk, and it is 10,000 times better than those genius treasures. After seeing Jian Wushuang could catch his breath, the woman asked angrily, "Smelly beggar, what is your name?" After taking a sigh of relief, Jian Wushuang dragged his body with both hands, leaned against the soft bed, looked at the woman with some unkind eyes, and said coldly, "You are not worthy." "Hey, you stinky beggar, my old lady saved your life. Why are you talking to me? Believe it or not, my old lady will throw you out to feed the dog." The rouge-powdered and heavy woman said viciously. Jian Wushuang ignored him. He finally realized that he was actually afraid of death. Can't say that he is afraid of death, because the desire to survive in his heart is too serious, which makes him instinctively not want to die. "You shouldn't save me." Jian Wushuang's voice eased. If you don't care about him, he will really freeze to death tonight. Now that the coldness on his body has gone, he really wants to go out in the warm bed, and he doesn't even want to move. The woman, who was a little angry at the beginning, heard Jian Wushuang's words, sighed, and complained, "You men, every good thing. You should be frozen to death in the street. My name is Jian Wushuang, how about you? You can call me 13 Mothers." The two have reported their names to each other, and they are considered to know each other. Then they chatted with each other. Jian Wushuang also came out of the ordinary world, not ignorant of everything, and quickly learned about this Qingshan city and this peculiar identity of the 13 Mothers. Her background was not good. When her young parents left, she was sold to Quixianglu in the west of the city by her own uncle, and she has since entered the dust. And this yard used to be her home. After she entered the brothel and made money, she bought it. Normally, she doesn't come back. Today, she also happened to have something that shouldn't have come. When she came back here while resting, she met Jian Wushuang. The world is impermanent. It's just such a coincidence that Jian Wushuang, who was about to freeze to death, was saved. "What did you just give me, a drink?" Jian Wushuang asked curiously. Shizaniang was taken aback for a moment, and then replied, "Of course it is wine. Without that sip of wine, you would have been frozen to death long ago." "Then what else?" Jian Wushuang swallowed. Screamed unconvincingly. "You look like a beggar, but you really don't speak like it. Is more like a scholar. How can you become like this?" Shizaniang handed over the flask on the table. He gave it to Jian Wushuang and threw a piece of roasted sweet potato along the way. Jian Wushuang took a sip of heavy liquor, picked up the hot piece of sweet potato and ate it. After hearing what the Shizaniang said, he vaguely said, "You are so accurate." He was really not a beggar before. If he tells his previous identity, I am afraid the other party will think his brain is frozen and stupid. There is no such thing as a practitioner in this mundane world. A piece of sweet potato was eaten, and finally the little fairy who was grinding in his stomach was restrained. Filling up his stomach and being able to lie on the warm Kong, Jian Wushuang felt that he was too happy. Thinking back to the haggis soup during the day, he couldn't help but smashed his mouth. Let's talk about it. Look at your little face that doesn't look like a child from a poor family. How could it be like what it is today? Shizaniang was very curious. Once a woman's gossiping fires, it will not go out. Jian Wushuang held his head in his hands, looked at the beams of the room, and muttered to himself, It's really hard to tell. I don't know where to say it. Are you talking about the Temple of Qi? Is too ridiculous to introduce a mortal to the Temple of the Gods, just like the heavenly book. The things in the common world must be my own experience. I really have to say it. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5473. Jian Wushuang began to remember. The other party may just be mundane at a certain point in time. There is no need to make up stories to deceive the other party. Anyway, this place is boring. Now it is late at night. With that pot of wine, Jian Wushuang began to talk about his childhood. Those were the days in the Sword Pavilion. He was only 18 years old that year, and he was just a little brother. Under the candlelight, the 13 mothers listened intently, and the light and shadow shone on her face with a hint of red. Jian Wushuang began to talk about it at the age of 18. Speaking of Jiang's grievances, of course, some of its more mysterious abilities have been weakened a lot. It's like a long martial arts novel. The more she listened, the more she became fascinated. In a blink of an eye, 2 hours later, a white fish belly appeared outside the house, and the sky was almost bright. Jian Wushuang didn't stop until the sun rose completely. For this story, a pot of wine and a piece of sweet potato are enough for you. Jian Wushuang said, crawling out of the comfortable bed and limping off the edge of the bed. Shizaniang heard the rise, and she didn't feel sleepy at all, and quickly said, I saved your life, how can you pay it back? I didn't let you save either. Jian Wushuang said calmly, and then opened the door of the house. The snow outside was still falling, and a thick layer had already accumulated on the ground. A cold wind hit, Jian Wushuang flinched, but he still bit the bullet and walked out. Shizaniang chased it out, looking at Jian Wushuang's back, lying on the edge of the door and shouting, Hey, if you are starving to death, remember to climb back. Jian Wushuang staggered and almost fell. This time, he will not be starved to death, he is going to hang himself. It's too uncomfortable to starve to death. Don't know what's wrong, he is more and more like a mortal, all the things that used to be like a dream? Snapped. Jian Wushuang slapped himself. Keep yourself awake, this is just a heritage of the Magic Sound Hall, and you can't fall into it too much. I'm really going to fall into it? I'm stupid if I can't get out. Castle Peak. The reason why it is called Qingshanqing is because of a mine in the west of the city. There is green mountains and green waters in the mine itself, but there is coal in the mountains. Now the green mountains are gone and become a black mountain. Is also the mountain that feeds the city. Most of the poor families living in the west of the city are digging for coal on the coal mountain. Jian Wushuang walked out of the alley, toward the mountain. Because there was a heavy snowfall, there were few people on the mountain, and I didn't encounter many along the way. But no one cares about him as a beggar even if he meets others. Jian Wushuang didn't know where he found a hemp rope and a long stick. Limped up the mountain. When climbing mountain, that kind of exhaustion is more difficult than his walking the Moyne Mountain. Finally climbed to the top of the mountain and stood on the mountain to see the face of Qingshan Castle. Chaos is still unopened all around, only the face of Qingshan Castle is real. Glanced around, there was no grass, Jian Wushuang was very speechless. Is this asking him to jump off the cliff? There was no top of the mountain, so he walked back to the mountain. There was no one in the way, and it was clean. At the halfway point of the back mountain, a solitary crooked neck tree was still quite strong. He put the prepared hemp rope around the crooked neck tree and tied it carefully, and then pulled it with his hand to make sure that he was safe. He moved a stone to stand on tiptoe, and he was ready for this life. This scene was clearly seen by an old man standing in the clouds. You can't teach a child. This is the peerless Tianjiao of Qishan Temple? Hanging up when you encounter a little setback? Is really embarrassing to say it. A dark red figure descended, side by side with the old man, staring at the scene below, calmly said, Let him go out. It is a waste to stay here. How do you explain to Lord True Spirit? The old man turned his head and looked at the person coming. The dark red figure is the magic sound general. Moin God will frown and said coldly, "He has given up. What's the difference between staying and not staying?" After speaking, the magic sound general left. Only the old man remained, standing there watching Jian Wushuang hang himself. The practice of Jian Wushuang has aroused their dissatisfaction. What happened to the mundane? You can't stay for a day. Jian Wushuang exhaled hot air. It was the last time he breathed the air here. He is going to die soon and will leave since. Putting his neck into the hemp rope, Jian Wushuang's heart was crossed, and he directly kicked the small stone away from his feet. A sense of suffocation hit him instantly, and Jian Wushuang suddenly felt that his entire head was about to explode. The legs that were originally inconvenient began to not dance on their own. It was an instinctive reaction. Click. The branch didn't support. It broke directly. Jian Wushuang also fell off. Losing his suffocation, he gulped in the fresh air. At this moment, Jian Wushuang seems to have realized what? He felt hope from instinct? That is the hope of survival. Is also a new hope. If he really becomes immortal, will he not live? Then what is he after? Become a strong man who will frighten eternity, or be a starry sky, constant pressure on everything, with a sword in hand, you can see the world. Jian Wushuang lay on the ground looking at the sky. The old man on the clouds also looked at Jian Wushuang and shook his head. Without holding any hope, he turned and left. Live. Jian Wushuang consciousness began to undergo a slight change. From the beginning of being tired of the world, he thought of the beauty of the world. At the top of the mountain, he recalled the changes in his mood since he came in, and his face changed. When did you use it? Jian Wushuang frowned. His mood was stronger than that of the emperor. How could he shrink? In purgatory, he is not afraid, he is also afraid of the mundane world. But this mundane city is really a purgatory. Unlike the lava river, the purgatory here is purgatory. When he came down from the mountain, the sky was already dark. One day later, without eating anything, Jian Wushuang's stomach began to scream again. This time, he learned to accept the leftovers thrown by others, which is not wronging himself. Thinking of what he said in the morning, he was too embarrassed to look for the woman, so he wandered around the city. Do not walk around, he will freeze to death sooner or later. Glanced at the pair of straw sandals on the foothills, his thumbs are still leaking out, it is really shabby. I have to think of a way. Jian Wushuang's eyes became clear. He now understands what it means to survive, which is harder than death. A beggar, if he wants to live, he has to be a bit crafty. He began to walk towards the east of the city, which was the most prosperous place in the city, to see if there was a job. This job is not a job, but he really doesn't even have a bowl to beg for. When I came to the east of the city, there were a lot of fireworks and liuxiang, but some were not suitable for him. Because of a heavy snowfall, there were few people on the street, but the laughter from inside the house was much more than before. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5474. Snapped. In a dark alley, a short and thin man dragged a woman, and the woman was struggling constantly. The short and thin man slapped him on the face and said viciously, "I blame you for being a broom star. I blame you for losing money. I must sell you today." Jian Wushuang squatted in the alley, watching this scene, and didn't mean to help. Mainly he thought that this short and thin man should have no problem dealing with a woman. No. Jian Wushuang shook his head, he was too crooked. The short and thin man, holding the woman's hair, dragged all the way in the snow. When passing by him, Jian Wushuang silently stretched out the stick in his hand and tripped the short and thin man to eat shit. Oh! The short and thin man dropped his head to the ground, his teeth being thrown out. Nosebleeds flowed out of his mouth. The short and thin man let go of his hand holding the woman and covered his nose. He turned his head and saw a beggar, smiling at him, and yelling angrily, "You beggar dare to trip me." As he spoke, he waved his fist and hit Jian Wushuang. Although the hungry people are almost exhausted, Jian Wushuang has a once mundane experience, and his sword skills are very dexterous. Although there is no sword in his hand, a 7-foot-long stick can be used instead. Clicked a stick, although the strength was not strong, but he was hitting the opponent's culprit, directly knocking the short and thin man to the ground. Jian Wushuang only then slowly got up, saw the woman squatting on the ground sobbing softly, and calmly said, "This, sister-in-law, is your home near here?" The woman didn't look up at him, she just pointed her finger in the alley. "It's cold outside, let's go back first." Jian Wushuang held the short and thin man's hair in one hand and supported the woman with the other. On the ground, there were 2 slip marks. Sent the woman home, Jian Wu looked at the dilapidated house in front of him, and then at the short and thin man in his hand. "Are there clean clothes?" Jian Wushuang asked. The woman also stopped crying at this time, only to see the short and thin man who fainted. Thinking that the other party would wake up tomorrow and sell her again, she felt desperate in her heart. When she heard Jian Wushuang asking for clothes, she moved in her heart. First, she took out a set of clean and tidy clothes from the shabby cabinet. Although there were many patches on the top, they were very soft and better than those worn by Jian Wushuang. "Here." The woman handed her clothes to Jian Wushuang, and she could see Jian Wushuang's face, 9-foot body, broad shoulders, and angular facial features, and her heart was lamentable. How could such a good man be a beggar? After changing into clean clothes, Jian Wushuang washed his black face clean again, and now he is considered as a person. Jian Wushuang turned his head, looked at the woman, and said, "I'll take care of this person for you, so I've bought this clothing. These 2 should be husbands and wives." Short and thin men are good at gamblers. The gamblers are on the walls. The people who live in the east of the city are rich people. It is really embarrassing for him to mix up like this. In order to prevent this short and thin man from continuing to harm him, he can only punish the other party with justice. He hasn't done such a good thing for a long time. Without waiting for the answer from the other party, he dragged the short and thin man towards the door. There is a woman on the other side. How could there be a murderous heart? It is not good to say too much. Jian Wushuang dragged the man, thinking about how to deal with this scum. Kill a person, that's too simple. After killing a person, let others think that the other person committed suicide, that's important. When approached the corner, he found an abandoned ancient well by the wall. Also had a way in his heart. A drunk man went home in the middle of the night and fell into the well. This is normal. In order to prevent the opponent from falling and waking up again, Jian Wushuang held the short and thin man to the side of the well, and suddenly used his armpits, only to hear a clear click before he threw the opponent down. There is no water in the well. But it's okay, as if he fell to death. Jian Wushuang patted the snow on his hands, not knowing where to go for a while, and overturned the 3 copper plates he had obtained from the short and thin man in his hands. In the ordinary world, you can buy a few steamed buns with 3 copper plates, but in the middle of the night, there are no other sellers except some restaurants. Can be 3 copper plates, go to the restaurant, can't even drink hot water. Jian Wushuang glanced at his clothes, covered the patch, and was considered a normal person. Thinking of this, he walked towards the restaurant just past. There was heavy snow outside the house, and the cold wind was piercing. Inside the house, it is warm like spring, and there are delicious dishes. Jian Wushuang wrapped his hands around his chest, covering the patch on his chest. As soon as he walked in, a swift little heir came up. "Master, please come inside." Xiao Heir bent over with a respectful face. If the other party knew that Jian Wushuang had only 3 copper plates on him, I am afraid that would not be the case. He came this time to eat Bo Wang's meal. That's it. Jian Wushuang specially chose a position by the window so that he could escape easily. Xiao didn't say anything. After wiping the stool and asking Jian Wushuang to sit down, he respectfully said, "Objective, what would you like to eat? 3 caddies of cooked beef will be eaten here, and another 3 caddies will be cut for me to install, and 2 pots of wine. Not only have to eat this meal, but also have to think about the next meal." After Xiao Heir left, Jian Wushuang put down his hands, glanced at the window, and touched it. The paper and wood are not too strong, it should be fine. The beef arrived soon. It seemed to have just been fished out of the braised pot, and it was still hot. Although Jian Wushuang was very hungry, he did not gobble it up, lest people doubt it. After taking a sip of wine, he looked around and no one noticed before starting to move his chopsticks. His mouth was full of oil. 3 caddies of beef, ordinary people can't eat it at all. Jian Wushuang was stunned to eat 70 points full. Just finished eating, Xiao Air was also very acquainted, and sent a packaged one over, wrapped in greased paper. Go and ask me for a broth. Jian Wushuang took the packed beef and touched his mouth. Xiao didn't have any doubts and replied, good. Just when Xiao Air disappeared from his sight, Jian Wushuang stuffed the packed beef into his arms, picked it directly onto the table, and kicked it towards the window. Although he is obviously a mortal through and through, but after eating and drinking, his strength is not small. He kicked a hole in the window with 1 foot and jumped out directly along the entrance of the hole. Jian Wushuang. The sound of attracted the attention of many people. They all looked at Jian Wushuang's removal, leaving only a hole, and the cold wind blew along the entrance of the hole. The shopkeeper who was dozing off at the counter heard the loud noise, and suddenly woke up, and Jian Wushuang was gone for a long time. The little heir who entertained Jian Wushuang was stunned when he brought the hot soup from the back kitchen. It took a while before they realized that someone was eating Boang's meal. A few caddies of beef is worthless, the window is broken, and the cost is enough to buy 10 caddies of beef. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5475. Give me out to find. I can't find that you don't have any money today. The restaurant shopkeeper is very atmosphere. Of course, it is not for the small amount of money, but someone dared to eat the king's meal in his restaurant, and dared to break the window in public. If you run away, what should you do if you all learn how to do it? Several guys in the restaurant heard this, rolled up their sleeves and picked up the guy, and then looked outside. Has footprints on the ground, they don't need to look around like a headless fly, but follow Jian Wushuang's footprints all the way. Let's talk about Jian Wushuang again. At this time, he didn't go far, but was in the other side of the restaurant's casino. The footprints on the ground, how could he not know? He deliberately spared a circle and then overturned the wall and spared it again. Was grilling charcoal fire in the casino at this time, watching the gamblers place their bets. 14 o'clock big. As the dealer opened, some were surprised and some were sad. What, I lost again. I even drove 19 big ones. I don't believe it anymore. The next one am still small, I'll crush this piece of jade. A red-eyed teenager smashed his own. The heirloom was photographed on the table. The lucky casino guy heard the words and cursed with a smile. Lady, your jade, I think it's worth 1 or 2 pennies, you really want to press it? This is authentic white jade. When my old man went north and south, he bought it for 100 taels from other big cities. How could it be worth 1 tael? The boy's eyes were a little red, and he felt that the guy was cheating him. The guy at the casino cast his eyes wide and said angrily, if you want to press it, press it. If you don't press it, get out of it. Go and sell it for 100 taels. You. The young man was full of blood, saying that he just wanted to do it. Jian Wushuang stood up and stopped the opponent. This piece of jade, can you sell it if I sell it for half a dozen? Jian Wushuang is a burly figure, half a head taller than ordinary people, and this statement also has weight. The young man turned his head to look at Jian Wushuang, and when he was cruel, he handed the white jade to Jian Wushuang. I sell. Okay. Jian Wushuang took the white jade, threw it directly on the table, and said, I'm crushing the leopard, this piece of jade, even 1 or 2. There is a thick cowhide on the table with the size and the leopard or the number on it. It has everything. Jian Wushuang pressed the jade on the leopard. If it hits, it will be 50 times. This Xiongtai is really happy. The casino guy said with a smile. The boy was a little reluctant and said, where is the silver? Isn't this all silver? Jian Wushuang took a sip of wine and pointed to the silver on the table. The young man said angrily, are you kidding me? As he said, he wanted to do it, Jian Wushuang, like the little chicken, directly stuck the boy under his arm, making him immobile. Open! Just now, the boy offended the guy at the casino. The guy knew that Jian Wushuang was not easy to provoke and did not stop him. He just said indifferently, okay, let's get away. The rest of the gamblers don't care about it even more. Anyway, they are not robbed. But. The sound of the sieve rang. Jian Wushuang calmed down, but he noticed in his heart. He didn't press indiscriminately, but saw the other party's methods. Just now, he has been observing for a long time. This casino guy, when he wants to open a big bowl, he will deliberately move it when he opens the bowl, and the result is big every time. The three sieves can be controlled so precisely. The other party's methods are brilliant. Cannot hide from Jian Wushuang's insight. Open! Casino guy, just making hands and feet. Jian Wushuang tipped his toes and directly raised a piece of gravel, hitting the opponent's crotch. Oh! The moment the casino guy bowed, Jian Wushuang directly supported the opponent's body. At the same time, the moment the others turned their eyes, they touched the mouth of the bowl with the sieve, and the force was just right. Although it hadn't opened yet, the sieve inside had changed. You are going to drive. Some gamblers held back and shouted. The casino guy only felt a fierce pain in his hips and yelled, "What anxious? Whoever attacked me just now, I must kill him." With a burst of scolding, no one admits that the casino guy can only be killed. But at this time, both hands have left the bowl that sits on the sieve, and it will be troublesome to do any more hands and feet. He can only bite the bullet and open it. 3-1 leopard, small. Is it really a leopard? Jian Wushuang had already let go of the young man, and when the other party saw that it was a leopard, he exclaimed. The casino guy quickly understood that this was being tricked by Jian Wushuang, but he also had no evidence to prove it. At the same time, he was afraid that Jian Wushuang would expose his old bottom, so he could only admit it. After receiving the silver, Jian Wushuang threw out a piece of broken silver and returned the white jade to the young man. At the same time, he gave the other half a couple of silver. Now we don't owe each other. Jian Wushuang put the silver in his arms and walked out the door. The young man stayed in place, and then took the silver and followed Jian Wushuang out. Brother, I want to apprentice. Qingdong, Fireworks Willow Alley. Jian Wushuang came to this alley with the boy. Brother, today you don't care, I'll treat you, the boy said, patting his chest. Seems like this kind of place, he often comes. This young man named Liu San is a child of Liu's family in the east of the city. Unfortunately, his family fell in the middle of his family and his parents died early, so he was taken out by the family. His grandfather's line left him alone. Since I was young, I have been uncontrolled and sneaky, either going to the casino or going to this kind of place. Jian Wushuang shook his head and asked, Go to Tsuixiang building, I'll treat you. Oh, brother, you are also a frequent visitor of Quixinglu? Why haven't I met you? The young man was a little surprised. He saw Jian Wushuang's appearance quite righteous. He thought he had never been to such a place before, but he was an old prostitute when he opened his mouth. Now, Quixinglu is known to such a small brothel. Quixinglu is located in an inconspicuous small courtyard. Behind the courtyard is a small 3-story building, which is a bit chilling compared to other brothels. But in the east of the city, Quixinglu, but the most cost-effective brothel, the price is reasonable and the women are also very distinctive. It's just this feature that makes Jian Wushuang a little unbearable. Liu Sainer entered the Tsuixiang Tower and touched a few hands on a woman who still had the charm. Quickly, call your Quixiangla's top card. Today my eldest brother treats you. Liu Sainer said, patted his butt. Of course it was the other's butt. The woman smiled at the corner of her eyes and said with a smile, You stinky boy, your hands are too dishonest, said, walking towards the back room. Jian Wushuang tilted his head and whispered, Do you usually play these? Yes. Liu Sainer nodded and replied, Look, big brother, the ring is fat, the swallow and thin, both have, especially the Tsuihua, she is still my old friend, no less than the top card. The top card here is not so good. Jian Wushuang was a little speechless. He came here not all because of Liu Sainer's kind invitation, but the woman who saved his life yesterday is also here. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5476. Second son, please come inside, and someone will bring you here right away. Followed the other party up to the 3rd floor and entered a pink room. Through the window, you could see the snow scene outside. Sitting on the soft rocking chair, Jian Wushuang was very comfortable. This mundane world is actually pretty good. Soon the old bust brought the so-called Cuexiang Lutu card. Jian Wushuang almost vomited out when he saw the opponent's looks, pointed at the opponent and said to the old bust, "This is the top card? 10 taels of silver and knight's top card?" The old bustard was also a little embarrassed. "Forget it, I'll give it to you." Jian Wushuang patted Lu Sainer on the shoulder, and then said to the old bust, "Do you have a woman named Shizaniang? Call her over and I will pack it." Lu Sainer grinned, "Brother, it turns out there is an old friend." The old bustard standing at the door said with some embarrassment, "My son, Shizaniang has already been taken away. Should I call 2 more top cards?" "No, I want her, you can add money." After that he threw out a generation of silver and fell on the table. After all, Jian Wushuang is stubborn, the old bust can't say anything else, who can't live with money. Lu Sainer moved his face closer and whispered, "Big brother, this is more than 40 taels of silver. This is a fart. Go play your top card." Jian Wushuang said angrily, "All this is fake. These mortals are all figures at a certain point in time. Once he leaves this place will disappear, and they will also disappear. I don't know when I can leave now. What secrets exist in this city?" Jian Wushuang tilted his head and looked at the snow scene outside the window, a little stupefied. Lu Sainer next kept kissing with that top card. After a while, the voice of the old bustard outside the door drove Jian Wushuang's thoughts down to reality. "My son, the 13 mothers are here." The old bust opened the door and brought a woman in a red tulle into the house. Shizaniang walked into the house and sorted out her clothes. When she was about to wink at the guests in front of her, she found that she was a little familiar and asked uncertainly, "Smelly beggar?" The old bustard on the side of was taken aback, slapped Shizaniang with a slap, and said angrily, "How do you talk to the guest? This young man pushed the card and called you by name." "Yes, it's me." Jian Wushuang leaked a smile. Seeing this, the old bustard smiled and said, "Hee, you play slowly, I will go down first." After recognizing Jian Wushuang, Shizaniang became a little bit shy without her yesterday's spiciness. Her cheeks flushed. A drunk rushed in obliquely and cursed, "You bastard, who let you go? Didn't I give you money?" "Oh, fourth master, the guest here is friends with San Yang. I just brought her to have a drink, and I'll go back right away." The old bustard hurriedly stepped forward to complete the game, but the other party obviously didn't buy it, and slapped the old bustard's face with a slap. "Huh, drinking? Do I have no wine anywhere?" The drunk man called the fourth master directly took the old bustard's hair, put his face in front of the old bustard, and shouted angrily, "I'm asking you if you have any alcohol." Shizaniang was a little frightened, perhaps because Jian Wushuang didn't want Jian Wushuang to see her appearance and ran out directly. The old bustard's voice trembled and said, "For Lord I." "How much did he pay?" Jian Wushuang stood up and said calmly. The drunk looked at Jian Wushuang, his eyes flashed fiercely, "Boy, your grandpa I have money? You compare me, do you know who I am?" Snapped. A hip flask flew out and hit the drunkard's head directly. The blood ran down the cheek directly. It was Lu Sainer who threw the jug. He was a little confused and walked over staggeringly, pointing at the drunkard and cursing, "Do you know who I am?" The drunk man was smashed by this, and he woke up instantly, covering his wound. "Lao Tzu is Li Si of the City Lord's Mansion. If you have the kind, don't leave, just wait for me." Li Si dropped a ruthless word and left directly. It seems to be moving rescue soldiers. Jian Wushuang heard this name for the first time. It hasn't been a few days since he has been here, where would he know someone? Lu San on the side was taken aback when he heard the name. "2. You should leave quickly. The other party is the butler in the City Lord's Mansion, so I can't afford to offend it." The old bust persuaded. Shizaniang has already left. He stayed here and didn't mean anything. He carried Lu Sainer, who was frightened, and walked out of the door. "Brother, we're done." Lu Sainer hugged her head and squatted on the side of the street. The name of Li Si is known to all the people in the east of the city. He is the #1 dogleg in the City Lord's Mansion. Aren't you scared when you throw the hip flask? Jian Wushuang thought it was a little funny. This stunned boy was still too young. The two are standing on the street, not knowing where to go. A huge city, there is no place to settle down. Lu Sainer didn't dare to go home because he beat Li Si, so he could only follow Jian Wushuang. Which way do you need to go to the city lord's mansion? Jian Wushuang saw that the other party was really frightened, so he asked about the city lord's mansion. Lu Sainer said dejectedly, "The street next door can be reached by walking all the way." "Forget it, let's run away first." "Escape? It's really unnecessary. You go to the west of the city, the fence alleys are waiting for me, I will be there later." After Jian Wushuang finished speaking, he walked directly over the wall. Before the steward of the city lord's mansion, he would wait for him outside the city lord's mansion. Since it is offended, get rid of it. Otherwise it is a scourge. Jian Wushuang is very fast. Although he is a mortal, his previous experience has taught him a lot. In less than a quarter of an hour, Jian Wushuang arrived at a corner outside the city lord's mansion, and he was relieved to see that there were no footprints on the snow outside the city lord's mansion. Then began to wait quietly for Li Si's arrival. Another quarter of an hour passed, and Li Si was still not seen. Jian Wushuang felt something was wrong, and after almost an hour, the opponent still did not appear. Is there a back door? Shouldn't be. There was no movement in the city lord's mansion either. Go! An unknown premonition struck, making Jian Wushuang a little uneasy, and I don't know why. Since he got here, he has completely become immortal, and it is normal for him to feel restless. Jian Wushuang comforted himself in his heart. There is still a long way to the west of the city, and he is not in a hurry all the way. When we arrived at the alley, Lu Sainer was waiting there. "Brother, you finally came back. What did you do just now?" Lu San asked curiously. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, beckoning the other party not to worry about that much, and then said, "First find a place to avoid it and wait until dawn." https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5477, walked around, and arrived at Shizaniang's residence. Seeing the teaching and research on the snowy ground in front of the door that was about to be buried by the snow, Jian Wushuang knew that she must have returned here. Knocked on the door bolt lightly, and saw through the crack of the door that the light in the back room was on. As expected, Shizaniang opened the door for both of them after a while. Seeing Jian Wushuang came, Shizaniang was not surprised, because no one knew it was hers in this small courtyard. "What are you doing?" Shizaniang leaked half of her face. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, "Come on." Then the two entered the small courtyard. Is still some shabby hut. The two have nothing to say. Lu Sainer was talking about spitting. "Big brother, I didn't expect that you still have this ability. How do you say it, Jinwu Tsangjiao?" Snapped. Jian Wushuang slapped his brain, and said with a smile, "Shut up, you are not afraid now?" 13 Yang sitting on the edge of the bed was taken aback, and asked, "Afraid? What are you afraid of?" Jian Wushuang also took the opportunity to divert the topic and talked about what happened to the two after she left. Shizaniang laughed when Lu Sainer blew Li Si's forehead. "Good fight, I think that is not pleasing to the eye long ago, if I knew I would stay and make up for it." Lu Sainer was completely unafraid when he saw this and said, "The hero sees the same thing. Next time I beat him, I will call you." Jian Wushuang smiled and said nothing. "The bad feeling in my heart is getting stronger and stronger." Lu Sainer chatted with Shizaniang very speculatively. He was just perfunctory, but in the bottom of his heart he was thinking about how long this kind of life would take. At present, he has not figured out the purpose of arranging this place, nor does he know how to get out. Maybe soon, the premonition in my heart is accurate. Inadvertently, a trace of thought power radiated from the bottom of his heart. That is the result of a strong mind. After came here, he was completely out of that feeling. He didn't expect to accumulate a trace of thought power unexpectedly today. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed in his heart, and he also had a great sense of security. Don't underestimate this power of thought. It is enough to destroy the world in the mundane world. Jian Wushuang kept this thought force firmly in his heart. Now is not the time when the fish die and the net is broken. He can use this power to explore the other party's intentions. He wants to see what the purgatory of the mundane world is like. Talk all night owls. No one feels sleepy. Early morning the next day. Jian Wushuang confessed that Shizaniang went out to inquire about the city lord's mansion, while he and Lu Sainer were waiting for news in place. It didn't take long for Shizaniang to return in a hurry, with a notice in her hand. It's not good, it's dead. After Lu Sainer woke up from alcohol, worries came up again, and he quickly took the notice, but he couldn't understand it either. 13 Yang pointed to it and said, I heard people say that several restaurant guys were killed last night, and blood shed a whole street. Also, the Li Si you offended also died. The method of death is the same as that of the restaurant. Those few people are the same. Good fellow. Jian Wushuang now understands the origin of the anxiety. All the people related to him died. The guys in the restaurant are probably the ones who went out to look for him. Jian Wushuang didn't bother to listen to even an illiterate finger-pointing, and he took the notice and looked at it. This notice is too fast. It is him who is wanted above. If there is no one behind this arrangement in advance, he will not believe anything. 2 patches on the chest. Jian Wushuang glanced at his chest. There are such details. Killed 6 people. A housekeeper in the city lord's mansion and 5 restaurant buddies. But he obviously did everything. He did murder last night, but he killed a scum who sold his wife. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang rubbed the notice into a ball, looked towards the sky, and said coldly, this method is too low level, was full of mockery in his voice. If the purgatory of the mundane world is just this, it would be too small for him. He might as well hang himself on the crooked neck tree in Maishan. Brother, are you all right? Lu Sainer and Shizaniang both looked at Jian Wushuang weirdly, feeling that Jian Wushuang was scared and silly, talking nonsense. Jian Wushuang looked at the two and said, you don't understand. He wants to see what the layouter will do next. Now that he has the chassis in his hand, he will lift the table in a big deal. Above the clouds. The old man looked at the mundane world with a smile on his face. I have become immortal, and I can't wash away the arrogance on my body. I see when you can be proud of it. The mortal world purgatory, when the mortal world was cut off, it was actually cut away long ago. But at that time, I had become an immortal, and of course I didn't care about the suffering of the ordinary world. If you really want to make all these people who have attained the Tao become mortals, and taste the purgatory on earth, you will not have that big tone. That's what the old man thought, and he arranged this test. He wants those practitioners to have awe in their hearts. The benefits for the future are great. Lima Castle. The arrest of the city lord's mansion of the brigade is searching the murderer along the street. Jian Wushuang's appearance and characteristics, everyone in the city knows. This time the city lord's mansion also offered a sky-high price. Those who can personally capture it can get thousands of gold, and those who report it can get thousands of silver. Now not only the hunters are looking for it, but also some idle street gangsters are looking for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang became everyone's goal for a while. After all, you can get 1,000 taels of silver just by reporting useful information. You need to know that you can only get 3 taels of silver after digging a coal mine on Maishan for a year. In the courtyard, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on the edge of the house, his breath calm. That trace of your thoughts is always suppressed in his heart, and now he is not in a hurry, he has not reached the point of lifting the table. The layout person is really going to annoy him, and he will ruin the entire mundane world. That trace of thought power turned into a small sword. This sword is enough to pierce the void, although it can't destroy this space, but it's nothing to razor this place to the ground. Lu Sainer and Shizaniang went out to continue to inquire about the news. When they came back at noon, their faces were a little bad. Brother, you really killed those people? Lu Sainer asked curiously. Jian Wushuang did not deny or answer. At this time, he didn't need to explain. The crotch was stuffed with yellow mud, and the explanation was not clear. Shizaniang intended to be beside the pillar under the door edge and sighed, "Smelly beggar, I really didn't expect that you would be so valuable one day, 1,000 taels of gold. How can you say that if it weren't for you, Big Brother wouldn't kill Li Si? Lu Sainer said angrily. Jian Wushuang is now suspicious of these two people because they deliberately approached him. At first he committed suicide and did not die, but he was saved by Shizaniang. He suspected it. Had it not been for a trace of thought power in his body, he would have killed these two people a long time ago. Of course, after he has the whole cards, he wants to go with the flow, look at the layout, and what tricks he wants to play when he arrives. https:// mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5478. Jian Wushuang stood up and said calmly, 1,000 taels of gold, the price is really high. Big Brother, what are you talking about? With your skill, how can you be caught by the trash of the city lord's mansion? Lu Sainer comforted. He didn't care. Just thought it was funny. The last time I was wanted, it was in Shihai. At that time, it was 100 billion sacred stone. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang seemed to understand something. This scene seems a bit familiar. At the beginning, Gong Miaoi and King Bai were next to him, but now Shizaniang and Lu Sainer are next to him. Is this a coincidence? If it wasn't a coincidence, the person behind felt very clear about his details. Magic sound general, shouldn't be so boring, is it that old monster after all? Moyin's suppressing space has been transformed into this. What is the purpose? When he passed the first bridge, he corresponded to the soul, and the second bridge, if he guessed correctly, was a test of the soul. Jian Wushuang didn't think much, turned around and entered the house. Those outside will not be able to find him for a while, but with the guidance of the people behind it, it is only a matter of time. Rather than cheap others, it is better to give this 1,000 taels of gold a reward to Shizaniang and Lu Sainer. Although he couldn't see the thoughts of these two people, he couldn't hold on for long. I have just met, Lu Sainer is a gambler, Shizaniang is a dusty woman, that would not be tempted by Qianliang Jin. Just as Jian Wushuang was thinking about other things, Lu Sainer followed in, and then leaned in his ear and said, Big Brother, I think there is something wrong with the watch, it's better. He made a gesture of wiping his neck. Jian Wushuang leaked a faintly teachable expression and nodded slightly. Okay, I'm going to buy some good meat, I still have some silver on my body. Lu Sainer cried out, afraid that others would not hear the same. Then went out to buy wine. After Lu Sainer left, Shirsan Yang came in, her complexion a little unsightly, and said to Jian Wushuang, Where is Lu Sainer, where did you meet? Casino. Jian Wushuang replied. Shizaniang's face suddenly became even more ugly. She hurriedly walked over, took Jian Wushuang and walked out, and said as she walked, Hurry up, he must have gone to the government to inform the police. You too underestimated him. Jian Wushuang pulled out his arm and stopped. Lu Sainer is a gambler. Faced with the choice between 1,000 taels of gold and silver, he will definitely choose the former, even if he takes a fight. This time I went out not to find the government, but to give him medicine. What he didn't expect was that Shizaniang would remind him. Does the layout person want this woman to impress him? That is too small to look down on his concentration. I will pay it back. If he can leave here, he will not hesitate to see him, take this woman out of this timeline, and give her a chance to regain a new life. As for here, one is one and the other is two. He will not be soft. Even if the city is destroyed, he blinks. You know, don't you run yet? Shizaniang asked in surprise. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said, Have you ever left this place? No. Shizaniang didn't know what Jian Wushuang meant. She had indeed never gone out. The outside world was wild. She left Qingshan City and had nowhere to go. She had been to the suburbs as far as she was. Have you ever thought about going to the outside world? It's too small here. Shizaniang narrowed her eyes, looked at Jian Wushuang and said, Are you going to take me away? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. Shizaniang then asked, Where to leave Qingshan City? Anywhere. The world is so big, it's all home. Why do you have unrequited love for a flower? This Qingshan castle is too depressing. Since he came to the present, he hasn't encountered a good thing. The sky is also dizzy. I really don't know what happened in this mundane world back then. Jian Wushuang didn't wait for Shizaniang's answer. Lu Sainer returned from buying wine, carrying 2 jars of wine in one hand and several packages of wine and vegetables in the other. "Brother, I bought the wine." He winked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled knowingly. It's time to hit the road. Regardless of what these two people think, Jian Wushuang doesn't blame them. After all, they have been controlled for a lifetime, and they have no choice. In the small courtyard, 3 people are seated. There are not many words. Just like the weather in the city, it is very depressing. "Come on," mentioned one. Jian Wushuang saw that the 2 of them were a little depressed, so he fell down and picked up the bowl, dry mouthful. Lu Sainer watched Jian Wushuang drink happily, with a smile on his face, and also picked up the wine bowl and dried it up. Wine is such a thing, the more you drink, the more you get excited. After 2 jars of wine, all down. Lu Sainer's murderous intent also arose. After taking a look at Jian Wushuang, he suddenly got up and strangled Shizaniang's neck from behind. "You!" Shizaniang was strangled with a flushed face, and she said everything. She kicked over the table in the resistance. After a long time, she didn't have any reaction. Lu Sainer was also the first time to kill. 13 Yang did not respond. He still refused to let go, for fear that the other party would not die thoroughly. Jian Wushuang stood up, patted him on the shoulder and said, "Okay, she is dead." "Ha!" Lu San panted heavily and let go of his arms. Shizaniang turned around and fell on her back, staring at her eyes. Lu Sanyi sat on the ground in shock. Jian Wushuang squatted down, patted him on the shoulder, and then asked in a low voice, "Do you want to go with me or want 1,000 taels of gold?" Lu Sainer, who heard these words, quickly stepped back and looked at Jian Wushuang in horror. Now he remembered, shouldn't Jian Wushuang faint, right? In Jian Wushuang's bowl he rubbed a layer of soft gluten flour. Lu Sainer didn't know how to answer. S performance just now made Jian Wushuang suspicious, and now I don't know what to do. Jian Wushuang looked at him and said calmly, "I understand, come with me," then took Lu Sainer and left the courtyard. Outside the small courtyard at this time, dozens of hunters had already gathered. Seeing Jian Wushuang coming out, they drew their knives. "Don't be so troublesome, give him the money first. I'll go with you." Jian Wushuang General Lu Sainer was still on the ground. How could he not know that the other party made tactics? Even if he became immortal, he would not be a fool. The wine he drank, just after he had eaten it, was dissipated by the power of thought. How could he fall into the hands of a mortal? Lu Sainer got up from the ground, hurriedly tossed to a catcher, pointed at Jian Wushuang and shouted, "It's him, he killed Li Si." Catching quickly pushed him away, sneered and said, "That's really thank you." As soon as the voice fell, a slash was made, and Lu Sainer's head fell to the ground, and the catcher shouted, "Jian Wushuang, your accomplice has been killed by me, so you won't be caught quickly." Just kidding, 1,000 taels of gold, how could it be given to a gambler? These people grabbed Jian Wushuang, 1,000 taels of gold belonged to them. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5479. Jian Wushuang was not surprised by this. At that time, Lu Sainer would satisfy the other party whenever he wanted 1,000 taels of gold. These people can't kill him either. If he chooses to follow him, he will walk out of the cage and then extract the soul fragments of Shizaniang and Lu Sainer from this timeline, giving them a chance to rebirth. It's over. Jian Wushuang raised his hand, and a strand of golden sword appeared in his hand. A breath of terror swept the world in an instant. When the old man who was sitting fishing in Yunqiu Mountain felt the breath, his complexion suddenly changed and he shouted, "Boy, dare you!" Jian Wushuang threw out the golden sword. Behind his hands, a gust of wind hit, but he remained motionless. The temples flew with the explosion, and said loudly, "Why not dare?" Boom. The next moment, those catching bodies began to rupture, and the scene around Jian Wushuang was shattering. Not only the people in the city, but the entire city was trembling. The old man in the clouds wanted to stop him, but the figure of the demon sound god general came slowly, raising his hand to stop it. Moin God will remind, "Mr. Yunzhong, we can't interfere." He will destroy the entire space. The space here is not cosmic space. Yun Zhongjuan was a little anxious. The magic sound condensed his eyes and said coldly, "You also know that this is a mundane space. This is your masterpiece. He can restore his strength. It's all on you." Yun Hongjin is also one of the 18 generals, although the status is the same as the magic sound general, but the strength of the two is different. The magic sound general, among the 18 generals, ranked first, but he was ranked at the end. Hearing the reminder of the magic sound general, Yun Zhongjuan could only swallow this breath and watched Jian Wushuang soaring in the space of the mundane world, leaving his place. 3 figures appeared in a huge palace. Not only Jian Wushuang came out, Dong Sheng and Wan Yan also came here. "Aren't I in the underwater world? How come here?" Dong Sheng asked in confusion. Wan Yan also looked solemn. He was originally in the cellar. Only Jian Wushuang was very calm, but there was one thing he didn't expect. He broke the mundane space and even brought these 2 people out by the way. After the 3 of them came to the treasure hall, they did not rush to explore and first told them all about their experiences. Jian Wushuang heard the head and realized that he was the worst. One of them went to the bottom of the sea and became the dragon king who called the wind and the rain, and the other slaughtered all directions in the cellar. Only Jian Wushuang really fell into the mundane world and became a beggar. "I was almost able to pass the level. It's a pity." Emperor Dongxing was a little sorry. Jian Wushuang vaguely passed his story. He was afraid to say it. These 2 people had to kill him. They are almost clearing the level. Only Jian Wushuang is tortured in that depressed city. "Forget it, this place is weird. Let's see what's going on here first." Wan Yan shook his head, dispelling the disappointment of several people. Then he looked at this palace. This place is also a dojo. But this dojo is decorated very noble, and everything you see is bright. The 3 of them were very cautious, and it was the last time they encountered the gore fiend and frightened them. But the blood demons devoured their flesh and blood at the time, in order to prepare for entering the mundane world. This time, there should be no danger in the dojo. A buzzing sound suddenly sounded. The 3 of them suddenly felt a little bad. "You dare to break into my territory?" A gloomy voice came, and the 3 of them were all startled. Jian Wushuang even retreated directly. Above the treasure hall, a towering dragon slowly climbed down from the top, with a pair of huge eyes staring at a few people. "The land of the Hades, come to die." The body of the towering dragon began to shrink, and then changed to a height of a battle, standing in front of several people. Dongxing felt the aggressive aura of the opponent and quickly explained, "Senior, we are here to accept the inheritors of the inheritance, but we were sent inadvertently. Please forgive me. I dare to quibble." The giant dragon transformed into a human form, its wings shook behind it, and the 3 of them flew out directly. "Is not an opponent at all." Jian Wushuang cursed secretly in his heart. It must be because he destroyed that mundane space, and the people behind took revenge on him, and then he was sent here. The dragon man, just breath, shook them half to death, and then walked slowly, covered in red scales, and each breath exuding was comparable to a 10,000-fold divine body. This dragon man is not a puppet, but a strong man who will follow the path of the body. Jian Wushuang quickly discovered the details of the opponent. But it's useless to know more now. The 3 of them don't even have the power to fight back. This is for them to die. "Senior Moin, are you asking us to die?" Jian Wushuang couldn't help yelling. "Isn't it just in the mundane world?" and slapped the opponent in the face. "Is so necessary. He can condense a trace of thought power, and he is not to blame. I can only say that the person who arranged that world was too stretched. Or he is too strong. It's just the latter who said it, a bit arrogant." Jian Wushuang didn't think about it. Hearing Jian Wushuang uttering the name of the magic sound general, the dragon man was stunned for a moment, stopped, and said in surprise, "Mannion, do you know the magic sound general?" "No, the 3 of us were sent by the magic sound general." Jian Wushuang looked at the other side and stopped, and quickly explained, "We are really here to accept the inheritance. If you don't believe it, you can ask the magic sound general." Dongxing and Wan Yan also got up and nodded quickly. The Dragon Man is a little puzzled. He is the first god of war that Pluto sat down, and Pluto is the lord of the universe under the command of Chishan. He knew about the 18 gods. It's just that the gods have fallen. I don't know how long. He has been asleep. How come there will be people here? The sound of the space being torn apart, an old man walked out of the crack with a cane. Dragon God, long time no see. It's you, Junzhong. Dragon God exclaimed. Is the old man who lays out the mundane world. Are they true? The Dragon God still couldn't believe it. He clearly remembered that everyone had fallen. Jun Yunzhong did not pay attention to each other, but looked at Jian Wushuang and the three of them, and smiled embarrassedly. I was late. I thought you weren't so fast. Who knew something happened in the middle and sent you here in advance? I forgot to say hello to the Dragon God. Dongxing and Wan Yan hurriedly bowed and fisted, looking respectful. Jian Wushuang didn't believe this. The other party thought it was premeditated. He didn't come early or late. He didn't show up until they reported his identity. However, Jian Wushuang was a little surprised after knowing that the other party was Yun's Hongjin. This was also one of the 18 gods. It seems that more than one will be resurrected, and Foi Ego's appearance has made the true spirit and resurrected so many powerful people. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5480. Those in the Senate Palace are not to mention, their strengths are average, and there are only 3 strong people, and the resurrection will resurrect the origin of the Temple of the Gods that can't consume too much. But these gods are all ultimate emperors. To resurrect one person, the source of consumption is more than 1,000 ordinary princes. Mr. Yunzhong, how did you come here? Dragon God looked a little embarrassed. This is the place where Pluto sits and transforms. It's nothing more than to be cannon fodder for the gods back then, and now there are several inheritors here. What are they going to do? For the Temple of Chishan, the Dragon God is not used to it. In the ancient times, some of the dirty work of the Temple of the Chishan was all done by people like them. The 3 major gods at the core level, as well as the disciples of the gods, don't have to do anything, and they can enjoy everything. Yun Zhongjuan frowned slightly. He couldn't understand this hybrid species, dragons and things from life, so he dared to question him? He is one of the 18 gods and generals. In the ancient times, the masters of the universe had to give him face. I call you the Dragon God, to give you face. If it weren't for these little guys here, I would kindly call you a mess. Yun Zhongjuan was unscrupulous, very arrogant, and then leaked a smile, apologizing. No sorry, all of a sudden, I said your real name. Haha. Jian Wushuang and 3 people stood in the corner shivering. The 2 of them seemed to be at odds, so they wouldn't fight suddenly. Dragon God's face was green. Yun Zhongjuan looked at the other party very angry, but he couldn't get rid of him, so he enjoyed it very much. By the way, Pluto has been dead for so many years, and the treasures here cannot be abandoned. I am here this time to allow you to open this place and from now on to become one of the treasure houses of the Temple of Chishan. Hand over the key. Yun Zhongjun is high. Know the meaning of a little discussion is to order the other party. In ancient times, Pluto was originally a marginal figure under the command of the gods. The core characters were all first to take refuge in the gods. Later, the gods reached their peak, and many people came to defect, among them Pluto. At that time, the status of Yun's Hongjin, the gods and generals, was so high that they naturally looked down upon those cosmic masters who later defected. If the strong is okay, the weak will have no right to speak. In the Lord of the Universe, there are also strong and weak, just like the Emperor, from the 1st to the 6th level, and then to the top. Has a clear division. You're looking for death. Dragon God couldn't help yelling directly anymore. You can insult him, but you dare to insult his master, Pluto. Even if the opponent is a general, he has to take action. Yun Zhongjuan hadn't planned to discuss with the other party. What he wanted was that the other party first started, and then he could take the opponent down and take over the dojo grandiosely. Arrogant, a bastard, dare to do something to this seat. Yun Zhongjuan gently shook the crutch in his hand, directly cracking the Dragon God's method. Then a dragon chant sounded that shook the heavens and the earth, and the dragon god's figure transformed into the body, a huge candle dragon with 2 feet and hands, and a pair of wings that covered the sky. The dragon above the treasure hall didn't care, and even leaked a sneer. The strength of the dragon god is indeed good, and his body is first class, even stronger than the original White King. But Yunzhongjun is an ultimate emperor after all. The crutch is invisible to others, but Jian Wushuang can see that it is definitely a power that surpasses the eternal treasure, and it is probably a treasure of the universe. The status of the 18 gods is very high, and the gods are the powerful ones who refine treasures. There are many treasures of the universe, and it is normal for the subordinates of the core. An ultimate emperor, coupled with the treasure of the universe, that power makes people feel suffocated. Worm. Yun Zhongjuan shot again, this time not as casual as last time, but really broke out all his strength. Although I look down on the dragon god, where is the strength of the dragon god? It is not too weak. Click. A huge gesture appeared behind Yun Zhongjuan and directly pinched the dragon god's neck, making the opponent unable to move. Dare to attack the gods of the Temple of Qixin, on behalf of the true spirit, I will send you to the second prison. Another crack appeared. This time the person who walked out of the crack was Wuzhua. Brother Wuzhua, I will trouble you. Yun Zhongjuan smiled. The prisons of the Temple of Qi are all at the bottom of the Tomb of the Gods. It is not something that ordinary people can enter and exit at will, and those who are weak cannot enter at all. The 4 main hall masters are all on errands, and the others are not at ease. Some of the strengths are not good, others have not sent in, and sent themselves in. So this kind of thing, only Wuzhua can do. Give it to me. Wuzhua took out a windsock and directly inhaled the dragon god into it, then turned to see Jian Wushuang also here, facing Yun Zhongjuan in front of Jian Wushuang and said, Brother Yun, this little guy Jian Wushuang is quite similar to me. If you have fate, please take care of 1 or 2. Don't worry. Yun Zongjun's eyes turned, and he agreed. Then I will leave first. Wuzhua clasped his fists, and then nodded towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was also flattered, and quickly bowed to signal. I didn't expect this Wuzhua to give him such a face. But he didn't know that Wuzhua had learned of Jian Wushuang's identity from True Spirit long ago, one of the most dazzling people in this era. Of course, he should make friends. In the future, maybe Jian Wushuang will be the one who resists the tripod in the Temple of Qixin. It is said that among several dazzling ultimate emperors on the Tomb Mountain, Huiqing is also outstanding, far beyond the same level. The Taoist master who cultivated the light path has not broken through like Jian Wushuang so far. If Jian Wushuang broke through with him. In the same batch, the 3 ultimate emperors who unite in a perfect posture will definitely be the most dazzling people in the future. Huiqing is currently at the forefront of the same batch. Further up, it is Shang, because he was the ultimate emperor, so he didn't rank with them. After all, Shang has created its own cosmic mystery, and the master of the universe has a greater grasp. It is only the level of the origin, without Huiqing's consummation. Was the 8th level of success at the beginning, and later reached the same level, not as strong as Huiqing's origin. However, Huiqing and Jian Wushuang are so defying the sky because of the Temple of Qixin. At the beginning, Shang was the one who explored alone and reached the ultimate emperor. And in the outside world, without anyone's guidance, he created the mystery of the universe, and even more comprehended the origin of the universe. Shang is the origin of the original universe, which is more pure than the origin of the universe among practitioners. Based on this alone, among all the inheritors in the Temple of Qixin, Shang is the first. No one can shake the status. Unless someone becomes the master of the universe 1 step earlier than Shang. If you want to surpass, it's too difficult. Anyway, is Jian Wushuang have this certainty he has both roots, and now Dao Jun has not reached consummation, let alone pursue the footsteps of the business. https://mobile version reading URL. Chapter 5481. Among the of the same generation, I am afraid that Huiqing will have this opportunity. Or the super genius Broly, who changed his way, his progress is even more amazing. He also heard from Yuanyang Lake that an indigenous inheritor came to the Tomb Mountain, and he broke through to the Sixth Order Emperor as soon as he went to the Tomb Mountain. And when it broke through, there were some vignettes. Broly went to the Tomb's sacred mountain, not as longing for inheritance as other indigenous strong men, but thinking of going down the mountain to find his missing father. The true spirit set up the formation method, and the Sixth Order Emperor could not make up the mountain. Broly was also a ruthless person. The direct time flow blessing was 10,000 times, and 100,000 years broke through, and the outside world has only passed 10 years. How can this not be shocking? Jian Wushuang was even more shocked when he heard it, because it was he who ordered the Keeman to kill Bu Kuan. Back then Bu Kuan was just a small person, and he didn't care at all. I didn't expect to cause a scourge now. Fortunately, the real spirit ended the game and told Broly that his father had died at the hands of Kemen, which is not a lie to him. Was indeed killed by the Fifth Order Emperor of Kemen. Now Broly is full of anger, slaughtering all over the world, looking for the strong from Kemen everywhere. Anyone who was in contact with Kemen was killed by him. True Spirit also promised the other party that as long as all the people of the Kemen in the realm were beheaded, he would resurrect his father. Resurrecting a Fifth Order Emperor who is a half-caste source, or an indigenous powerhouse in the Temple of Chishan, is just a drop in the bucket for the True Spirit. Follow is nothing at all. This is simply treating Broly as a killing machine. Jian Wushuang shook his head, not thinking about it anymore. Now that the Dragon God has been captured, he has also been thrown into the second prison, where Shan Jun was also exiled. The environment there, but the place where the most powerful people can fall. I can't get out of this life, and I have offended the generals of the Temple of God. That is really no way. He wanted to come out, but he didn't have a clue now. Now I just ask Yun Zhongjuan, the other party is a god. Junior Jian Wushuang, I have seen Senior Yun Zhongjuan. Jian Wushuang is very respectful, but he offended the other party last time. He is not respectful, because of the other's fierce personality. He will never be merciful. Is still in the opponent's chassis now. The powerhouse like Dragon God, just like the little chicken, said that the suppression would be suppressed. Dongxing and Wanyan have long been waiting for Yun Zhongjuan to speak in a respectful manner. They are also the first time to meet a strong man of this level. In the primitive universe, it is troublesome to meet a Sixth Order Emperor, let alone an absolute powerhouse. I've come to the Temple of Chishan, and I've seen a few superpowers. This is the first time I have seen a fight between the superpowers. The powerful aura directly suppressed the two of them. At the beginning, the true spirits let out their words. As long as they can reach the tomb with their own ability, they will be cultivated to be superb. At that time, it was just a sentence. They didn't have such a big impact on it, and they didn't know much about Zhu Dian. But now that after seeing Zhu Ding's move, he made up his mind, and after going out, he will work hard to become a Sixth Order Emperor and go to the Tomb Mountain as soon as possible. Thanks, little guys, this is yours now, and how many treasures you can get depends on your good fortune. Yun Zhongjuan returned to his amiable appearance, like a kind old man. Ku Jian Wushuang can't believe it. This is the dojo where Hades sits and transforms. There must be many layouts. The treasures have been put into the treasure house. If you want to open the treasure house, you need a key. How do they get it? This old man really still hates him for ruining the mundane world. Originally wanted to ask about the second prison, but now it seems that the other party will not tell him the truth. It is likely that he will be deceived. Jian Wushuang didn't go looking for it and was boring, so he could only send him away respectfully. Before leaving, Jun Yunzhong looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "Jian Wushuang, right? I have heard of you. The future is promising. Work hard. This treasure in the mustard seed is left by the Dragon God. You three, let's divide it," said, threw the mustard to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had just been happy from the bottom of his heart, but then his face froze. Before Yun Zhongjuan left, he quickly handed the mustard seeds to Emperor Dongxing, while still begging in his heart. "Believe me, among the mustard seeds that Yun Zhongjuan gave him, except for some broken copper and iron, there are no treasures. If he took the mustard, it would be really hard to tell." Dongxing was a little surprised, and found that Jian Wushuang was too polite, right? Since Jun Yunzhong handed Jian Wushuang, it should be Jian Wushuang that divided them. He originally wanted to be polite, praying that Jian Wushuang would not be too dark and somehow give them a bit. After all, whoever got the mustard seeds, Yun Zhongjuan would be unable to argue with 100 words as soon as Yun Zhongjuan left. Now Jian Wushuang took the initiative to hand the mustard seeds to Dong Xing, and Wan Yen understood it very well. Jian Wushuang's face was gloomy, and he stood there without saying a word. After Yun Zhongjuan left, he said, "Don't look, there is nothing. You really thought that old guy would be so kind." He was not afraid of Jun Yun being monitored in secret. I am afraid he would really monitor him, and wanted to see Jian Wushuang being killed by him. Jian Wushuang was not fooled by this. Especially when he heard Jian Wushuang directly scold him, Yun Zhongjuan in the dark blinked and the stars left. Jian Wushuang was not calculated this time, so next time. Anyway, Jian Wushuang hasn't surpassed him, there are opportunities. In the treasure hall, Dong Xing held the mustard seeds at a loss and stammered, Isn't this shameless? Wushuang Taoist fellow, you have to testify to me. After speaking, he handed the mustard seeds to Wan Yen. With a hint of thought in his face, you use expression on www. Akanshu. Calm was instantly frozen. He glanced at Dong Xing and then at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang said, "Brother Wan Yen, if you don't believe me, I can search for my mustard seeds." No, I didn't mean that, but I just think that is super strong. Why should you play with us? Wan Yen waved his hand quickly. Even if he had doubts in his heart, he would not dare to search for Jian Wushuang's mustard. Jian Wushuang is a celebrity among the inheritors. Although he has never been to the Tomb Sacred Mountain, his name on the Tomb Sacred Mountain is very resounding. Especially after Shihai and his party, he showed the strength of the Fifth Order Emperor, which made a lot of people. Wan Yen and Dong Xing are both emperors of ordinary origin. Jian Wushuang is the ultimate way, and the future is a much stronger existence than them. How can I offend? There is nothing unwilling to do. These veteran powerhouses have just been resurrected, the silence of countless epochs. Who knows if there is any strange problem? Jian Wushuang said in melancholy. He didn't expect the other party to hold such a grudge and let the dragon god beat them up, and he would have to count him before he left. And they are still here to go to the treasure of Hades. Isn't that kidding? Chapter 5482. Where to find the three of them. Dong Xing didn't dare to speak ill of Yun Zhongjuan directly, so he could only say roundly, "Forget it, maybe it's the senior who doesn't know it." Wan Yen on the side was a little upset, and said to Dong Xing, "What do you mean, we cross the abdomen of a gentleman with a villain's heart?" "I never said that." Dong Xing waved his hand quickly. "Search here first. See if there are any special treasures." Jian Wushuang turned the topic to the topic. This is the dojo of Hades. Even if there are no treasures, relying on the environment here, the cultivation is faster than the outside world, and you can't waste time. Taoist Wushuang is right. Let's figure out the situation here first. Dong Xing also followed and began to search around. Jian Wushuang soared into the sky, above the palace, where the dragon god inhabited. There was a jade platform the size of 10,000 square meters. Seeing that jade platform, Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank, and he was familiar with the atmosphere inside. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would not have noticed it. Because the aura contained in this place is the origin of the universe, suppressing the origin in that jade platform. Cosmic crystal. Jian Wushuang's heart was ecstatic. A cosmic crystal the size of 10,000 square meters. That is a cosmic crystal that is more precious than the cosmic divine stone, and Wanfang is 1,000,000 cosmic crystals. It takes tens of thousands of cosmic divine stones to refine a piece of cosmic crystal. This kind of cosmic crystal is generally used by the master of the universe to restore its origin. Extremely precious, this 10,000 square cosmic crystal is of infinite value. After reaching the top, Jian Wushuang put it away directly. The three of them searched separately, and the treasures that they searched naturally belonged to them. Jian Wushuang held back his excitement, These cosmic crystals were the biggest treasures he had received this time. By virtue of it, it is not necessary for the origin of space to reach the realm of the black hole to be able to elevate the pole to completion. The origin in this is not the original origin of the Lord of the Universe, but it is also the origin evolved from them, and the strength is similar. After putting the universe crystal in his bag, Jian Wushuang didn't stay longer, but went to other directions to continue searching. Going on, he found a lot of rare treasures just in the habitat of the dragon god. Although I don't know the value, the breath above is not weak, such as a teapot, which contains eternal breath. After searching the habitat of the dragon god, Jian Wushuang went to other places and circled around. The three of them deliberately avoid each other, which is considered to be kind. After a while, everything in the hall was taken. All three of them have joy on their faces, and it seems that the delivery is good. Especially Dong Xing, smiling from ear to ear. Haha, there are really a lot of treasures here, that senior didn't lie to us. He said, taking out a jar from the mustard seeds. There is a peculiar smell above. Wan Yen leaned over curiously, sniffed it with his nose, and couldn't help but look at it. Seeing this, Dong Xing quickly removed the jar and said, "What are you in a hurry? Since I took it out, you will be indispensable." "This jar was found here?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Yes, it was placed in a corner. I searched carefully and found it." Dong Xing smiled. Wan Yen was a little curious and said quickly, "You just open it to see what it is. It seems to be wine, otherwise I won't take it out. If it is wine, let's drink it together." With Dong Sheng's words, Wan Yen stretched out his thumb and exclaimed, "Brother Dong Sheng, in Primordial Universe, I actually admire you most. It's good to never forget us old brothers. Go, you said last time that the one you admire most is Zhu Tian. Later, when you met Shang at the Qixin Temple, you said that you admire him most, and what you kids said, ghosts believe." Dong Xing said angrily. But Wan Yen doesn't care, since he can share, he is a good brother. Jian Wushuang was also very curious, and the three of them sat together and began to study the contents of the jar. After opening the upper lid, the strange smell became more intense. Wan Yen had taken out the wine glass long ago and directly manipulated a trace of thought power to draw out the liquid in it and pour it into the 3 wine glasses. Pass it to 2 people separately. After Jian Wushuang took it, he thanked him, but he didn't rush to drink. He really felt that the smell was a bit strange, and he was not afraid of poison in it. Their divine bodies were not weak, and even if they were poisoned, they couldn't die. Dong Xing didn't want to take so many glasses of wine and dry it in one sip, and then grinned and said, "It's a bit irritating. It's a spirit." "Really?" Wan Yen took a sip, then added a lip and said unfinishedly, "This is a good wine. The strong in ancient times will really enjoy it." Jian Wushuang did not drink for a long time, and he mobilized a powerful mind to analyze the particles in the liquid, and he wanted to see what was in it. "Otherwise drink it, don't worry." In the liquid, after a detailed analysis, Jian Wushuang found that it did not seem to be wine, but the divine power contained in it was more like the blood of an alien animal. Not right. The physical breath contained in the blood shouldn't be so weak. It is not blood, but it contains the power of the flesh, and the breath is weak, which means that these liquids are discharged from the flesh. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang threw down the wine glass in disgust. Wan Yen and Dongxing squatted on the ground, raised their heads and looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise, and said, "Why, it doesn't suit your appetite? You guys, it's better to drink less of this thing." Jian Wushuang wanted to laugh in his heart, but couldn't bear to tell them the truth. The faces of the 2 fifth-tier peak emperors are still very important. They are the ancestors of the major forces in the outside world. If this is said, the face is really unstoppable. I'm afraid that the hearts of killing Jian Wushuang are all there, so I have to stop talking. This liquid is most likely the urine of the dragon god. Although it is urine, but what a character the dragon god is, S divine body may have surpassed 70,000 times. Even his urine is helpful to practitioners. Although it is not a substantive help, it is not bad to be able to keep fit, at least it does no harm. As for letting them drink less, it is because the yang power contained in this thing is very strong, and I am afraid that these two people will not be able to control it. Wang Yan wiped the corners of his mouth, nodded and said, "Indeed, I have drunk so much, and my strength has not risen." On the contrary, the pure yang power in this body is extremely strong. "What? Are you going to vent your anger when you go out?" Dong Xing quipped. Dong Xing rolled his eyes. Can he say this? At the same time, he also put away the jars on the ground. Since it didn't help much, it was useless to drink it. "When the two of you just searched, did you find a similar exit?" Jian Wushuang turned off the topic and started talking about business. Now they are facing a difficult problem, and that is how to get out. Chapter 5483. It is indeed very fast to cultivate here, but the help is limited, and it is still necessary to go out. Dong Sheng and Wang Yan looked at each other and shook their heads. Just when the three of them didn't know what was wrong, a huge Dharma image fell from the sky on the dome of the palace, like a tripod gathering in the sky. The three quickly backed away. Really dozing off and coming to the pillow, Jian Wushuang sighed secretly. Even if Yun Zhongjuan looked down upon them again, he would not give away his original rewards. After the second bridge is passed, at least a substantial improvement must be made. No, is it coming soon? It's another Dharma aspect, but this time the Dharma aspect is that of the Pluto, and that is the Lord of the Universe, and this helps a lot. It takes great effort to comprehend an incomplete cosmic origin from the outside, but it is better here to get them a one-to-one photo, and there is also a complete Pluto origin inside. "You only have 10 days, cherish it." A majestic voice came. This time it was not Yun Zhongjuan, but the magic sound general. 10 days. The three looked at each other, but for an instant, they found a futon and sat down cross-legged. There is really not much time left for them. 10 days must be seized. Don't underestimate these 10 days. The complete source of a cosmic lord is placed in front of them to comprehend. Even a fool can make a breakthrough. For Jian Wushuang, this origin is even more critical. He can use this source and cooperate with the cosmic crystal he obtained to perfect his original sea. The current sea of origin is still at the level of Taoist monarchs, and is the origin of Tao. If you want to become the sea of origin of space, you need to reach the emperor. This time he was going to hit the 9th level of Jidao, even reaching the level of consummation. Let's take a look at what the Jidao is like after its completion. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes, and a law body descended on the sea of origin. In the current origin sea, there are very few origin fragments, and most of them have been merged in the origin sea. Wan Fang's cosmic crystal appeared in front of him, and Jian Wushuang directly stepped on it, treating the cosmic crystal as a small boat. The origin of the King of Death. Jian Wushuang in the Sea of Origin, looking through it, directly locked the origin of the Pluto in the law. That is the origin of death, a special road. Death and destruction are related, and the Pluto was also a peerless arrogant who almost entered the ranks of the ultimate. There is still a gap between death and destruction. After becoming the master of the universe, his strength is a little bit worse after all. Jian Wushuang didn't know much about the origin of death. After all, it was a special rare origin. However, understanding the mystery of space and time is the key to improvement. Going deep into it, Jian Wushuang suddenly felt that the sea of his origin was trembling. No one dares to face death. Even Jian Wushuang shuddered instinctively, and a terrifying aura hit him. But after experiencing too many Jian Wushuang, he was already able to go against the wind. In the space, it is all-encompassing, that is the breath of the resurrection of all things, but compared with this kind of space origin, Jian Wushuang's space is more real. Although it was the universe, compared with Jian Wushuang, it was like the emperor of the original universe and the emperor of the 4 secret realms. Is incomplete. Jian Wushuang's was even more perfect. The tens of thousands of celestial spaces were condensed into reality, just like the real world. Once it descended, it was a realm. He had a hunch that if he could become the master of the universe, his thoughts of the universe would really become a universe. At that time, he couldn't believe it, how overbearing it was to directly descend into a universe when fighting with others. Absorb the essence and remove the dross. Jian Wushuang began to comprehend the mystery in the dead space. In the sea of his origin, there are huge waves rising to the sky, which are the fluctuations caused by the cosmic crystal. While enlightening, he was also taking the opportunity to absorb the origin of the universe in the universe crystal. His devouring power is very violent, constantly devouring the original power from the universe crystal. When the extreme path was formed, he had cultivated his thought power to perfection in the starry sky, reaching the third peak. After going out, he condensed a thought universe, broke through the fourth layer, and mastered the power of swallowing. Then gathered the power of all things. The three abilities that Jidao gave him were normal, and everyone had them. He was just a little stronger than others. The power of devouring is a bit special, and the gods once also mastered this ability. Jian Wushuang doesn't know much about this, but it can also be seen that the power of swallowing is more special than the power of mind. Then there is the power of all things. The strong who masters this ability, in fact, according to common sense, the strong who have the flow and change the path, will master it. It's just that the order of mastering is different from him. He can master the power of all things in Dao Jun, and Wan Dao Lu and Change Dao must at least reach the absolute peak to condense a trace of the power of all things. If you want to master it, you will have to wait for the space to transform and become the cosmic space to master the power of all things. After such a detailed analysis, his three abilities can actually be achieved by others, but it is difficult to gather these together. Jian Wushuang joins the Dao. You need to merge and penetrate the power of mind, swallow, and all things before you can reach consummation, and then join the Dao. This is the hardest step. All the ways are unified, and the power of all things is merged. What kind of power will be formed when the three are superimposed? Jian Wushuang didn't know, but soon he would be able to get there soon. The ninth layer of Jidao broke through. With a large number of cosmic crystals and insight into the complete universe origin, he finally reached the ninth level of the pole. The sea of origin is pure. There is no floating debris in the ocean waters, not even a reef. Now Jian Wushuang's ultimate origin has reached its purest point. The rest is the 3-in-1 step. It's a pity that the universe crystal ran out, and the universe stones were all put in. With so many treasures, all smashed on the Jidao, Jian Wushuang is still a little distressed. If these treasures are taken out, his divine body can be increased to 50,000 times, and by the way, buying a set of eternal treasures will not be used up. Yu reading www.ukanshu. Calm. When the Jidao reaches the ninth floor, the increase in combat power is not obvious, and it is not as fast as buying some treasures to increase it. But those are all foreign objects. Jian Wushuang can still distinguish them. After the Jidao breakthrough, there was still some time before he began to study the steps of the 3-in-1. The first is the power of mind. The power of mind is evolved from the power of mind, and the power of devouring is the realm of black holes for reference. In this way, he returned to the original problem. Black hole realm. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. His mind power has reached the 5th level early, and his mind power can be mobilized at will, and he is only a tiny bit away from the perfect state of mind. A perfect state of mind requires one mind to reach the 6th level of heaven and earth. He is still a little short of him now, but his mental strength breakthrough is very cumbersome, and only the powerhouse who has reached the top can cultivate his mental strength to perfection. Chapter 5484. Some emperors who are against the sky can also do it, and when Shang is a 5th-order emperor, he has raised his mind to the point where he is one-hearted. For Jian Wushuang to rise to that realm at the Taoist level, it was more troublesome than breaking through the black hole realm. Of these two, there is only the possibility of theoretical breakthroughs. At least there is a theory to say. After the Jidao reached the 9th floor, he discovered the power of all things, and the power of all things was already changing. To dilute the fusion, he has to collect the essence of all things to stop this degeneration. Ordinarily this is a good thing, there will be an improvement after the transformation, but he hasn't been in harmony now, and he can't be in harmony with the premature transformation. The essence of all things is actually a kind of primate treasure, which is related to the origin of the wood road, And only the forest of 10,000 treasures exists in the 4 secret realms. And there is still a legend, which is a headache. The essence of everything that can be transformed into spiritual consciousness is even harder to find. From now on, he has to seek the true spirit, otherwise he will not be able to unite. A problem is surrounded by a problem. Jian Wushuang did not expect that he would be so troublesome before facing Hadao. The more against the sky, the more difficult it will be. The ancient city will not deceive him. If you want to meet the true spirit, you have to go to the Tomb Mountain, and to go to the Tomb Mountain, you have to have the power of a 6th-order emperor. He is not in harmony, and his combat power is simply not enough to go to the Tomb Mountain. Although the body can be comparable to the level of Tier 6, there are many strong people in the Tomb of the Gods under this kind of strength. As a result, each of them died suddenly, without the whole body. Jian Wushuang had practiced a little unintentionally, and fell into entanglement. Seek to break the game. The only thing that can be broken is that he thoroughly refines that time and space treasure. A chessboard emerged from the sea of origin. Countless powerful sources are the chess pieces above. There is a space-time origin in the middle. Jian Wushuang's several clones were among them, and after the Jidao breakthrough, he was able to copy several original chess pieces. He suddenly had a bold idea and tried to move a chess piece. The weakest on the left side of the chessboard also has the aura of the origin of the universe, but that aura is a bit incomplete. It is a chess piece that focuses on the origin of flame. The fire burned, and when Jian Wushuang mobilized, a huge fire crow threw its wings from it, which matched him very well, and also wanted to rush out of the chessboard. But a powerful gravitational force came, directly and completely suppressed the fire crow. Impossible to do it, unless he thoroughly refines this time and space treasure. There is a treasure that can be compared to the Temple of Qishan, but it cannot be used, it can only be used as an auxiliary treasure. Jian Wushuang is very aggrieved. But the chessboard sank to the bottom of the sea again, and Jian Wushuang gave up. You can only take one step and see one step. Let's first improve the ones that can be improved. His ultimate kendo has not yet broken through, and the master of the kendo has killed him. Maybe he will have unexpected gains after reaching the 9th floor. When the 10th arrived, the 3 of them were still immersed in it, and they didn't miss a moment. Haha! Without waiting for the 3 of them to take the initiative to stop, they were directly teleported out of the palace. After the 3 of them left, Jun Yunzhong came here with a black soul lamp. Thanks, Tusk, even the lights are removed, these little guys are too poor. Yun Zhongjuan was speechless. If he knew that Wanyan Dongxing hadn't even let go of Dragon God's urine, he would be even more surprised. The soul lamp is out and the Pluto is out. Only this time he appeared on the scene, but he was searching for Pluto's remains. The complete treasure of a master of the universe. At the beginning, Jian Wushuang and the others got the inheritance of the 3 kings in Shihai, but they didn't get much treasure, and a small group of people got a lot of treasures. And there are very few treasures given to them. They are all treasures at the emperor level, and treasures at the master level of the universe, and I haven't seen any of them. I have never seen energy treasures like the universe crystal that can only be used by the Lord of the universe. The Pluto's remains are complete, where are all their worth? Jun Yunzhong's eyes glowed, and then he entered the depths of the palace. As for Jian Wushuang and others, he is no longer in charge. Because the 3rd bridge is the place where the magic sound will personally check it. An unstoppable breath erupted, a dance of blood rose, and 3 figures came out of it. Hoo-hoo! The 3 were panting. Just passed an ancient road in time and space, fighting all the way and finally got here. Damn, my eternal treasure was torn apart by that guy. Dong Xing felt a little distressed, stroking his armor. It was an eternally treasured armor he obtained in the long Hanoi of time and space. It was very rare, and it had now been torn apart. Can tear the eternal treasure, the opponents they encounter can be imagined. Among the emperors, there are too few strong men who tear the eternal treasure. You may not be able to do it. Wanyan frowned and said, it's not bad to be alive to this point. You still feel sorry for an eternal treasure. Among the 4 great secret realms, there are still many eternal treasures. As long as they go out and wander around, it will not take long to obtain new eternal treasures. The aura on Jian Wushuang's body was very weak, but the moment he emerged from the blood dance, he recovered at an extremely fast speed. He was just as miserable. If it weren't for the powerful divine body, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to get out. Fortunately, his extreme breakthrough and the blessing of the universe can save his life. He doesn't have the combat power that Dongsheng Wanyan can rival the Sixth Order Emperor. These two people are a secret Mahayana. Although they were not created by themselves, it is also a cosmic secret method. When they have cultivated to the Mahayana realm, their strength can be comparable to the Sixth Order Emperor, and in the four great secret realms, it can be comparable to the Sixth Order Peak Emperor. Needless to say, Dongxing mastered the realm of the black hole, and this battle directly allowed him to break through the Sixth Order Emperor. If you don't die in a catastrophe, there must be a blessing. Jian Wushuang comforted. After walking through the bleeding fog, there is a single-plank bridge in front of him, just a 3-inch wide single-plank bridge. This is the third bridge here. A voice came from the end of the bridge. The voice was very familiar to them. It was the magic sound general. I will give you a chance to choose. Once you pass the single-plank bridge, I will send you to the primitive world to accept the complete inheritance of a master of the universe. Second, give up walking the single-plank bridge, and I will accept this person as a disciple. As soon as the voice fell, the trio's complexion changed. The magic sound will accept disciples. You reading www.ukanshu.com did not break the rules set by the true spirit. Many inheritors have been apprentices in the palace of the elders, and this is not restricted. As for the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe, it is very difficult to obtain it on the Tomb God Mountain. Even those who are more against the sky, only a few have obtained the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe. They all know this. Compared to apprentices to the magic sound gods, the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe is more attractive. Of course, if both can be achieved, it will be even better. By the way, to remind you, the second prison is linked under the bridge. If anyone falls, I will save it myself, but I can't guarantee it if it is too late. At this point, Jian Wushuang was stunned. To the second prison? End of this chapter. Chapter 5485. There is real purgatory. The most powerful people can't protect themselves. The peak figures like Shanjun are likely to fall. If they fall, they may fall without waiting for someone to save them. Dong Sheng and Wan Yen didn't know much about the second prison, so Jian Wushuang explained what he knew from Wuzhua. The two of them looked low and hesitated in their hearts. Practitioners, all the way is extremely dangerous. Every step is to dance on the tip of a knife, and everyone wants to fight it. Can also calculate his own gains and losses. The inheritance of the Lord of the Universe is certainly important, but compared to his own life, it is still somewhat unworthy. Jian Wushuang quickly paid attention. Whoever wanted to go, he would not go anyway. It is also very good to approve the demon sound general. Now he is just short of a thigh. The Moin God will not be under the control of the Elder's Palace. It is beyond the scope of the Elder Palace or even the four main halls, and is a member of the core forces under the command of the gods. Although the former glory is not there, he has the highest combat power, and he is the ultimate emperor, at least able to point Jian Wushuang 1 or 2. Friend Wushuang, in this second prison, do you know what the detainees are? Wan Yen was still a little unwilling to give up. Dongsheng has broken through to the Sixth Order Emperor. He has the ability to go to the Tomb Mountain. He can choose not to fight, but he is still far away from the Sixth Order Emperor. In the long time and space of Hanoi, he has also finished the cosmic secrets, and now he is lacking the inheritance of his help. He didn't want to give up this great opportunity right now. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He just knew that the second prison was very dangerous and could cause Zhu Ding to fall. As for the existence of imprisonment, he really didn't understand. Standing on the side, Dong Sheng patted Wan Yen on the shoulder and comforted. A big man was born between heaven and earth. You can retreat or enter, don't be in danger. Humph. Wan Yen snorted coldly and retorted. Of course you are not in a hurry to break through the Sixth Order Emperor, but my realm is still a lot worse. The shadow is the most difficult to walk. Without that cosmic heritage, I don't know how to practice. When is it? Seeing this, Dong Xing withdrew his hand, not knowing what to say. Yep. The avenue is cruel, and if you don't fight, you will stay, surpassed by future generations and surpassed by the same level. They are very anxious, especially in the Temple of Qishan. The advance is not too fast. Once the gap is down, it will be difficult to catch up. Step by step, step by step. At least the two of them are much faster than the fifth-order emperors in other primitive universes. Have you thought about it? The face of the magic sound general descended and appeared in the sky. Wang Yan didn't give up and asked, "Senior, if you fall into the second prison, how long will it take you to go to the rescue?" "A stick of incense," the magic sound god general said indifferently. He asked Wuzhou to go to the inside of the prison to open up the passage. Although it is linked to the second prison, it is a one-way channel which can only enter but not exit. If someone falls, even if the magic sound will enter in the first time, it will take time to find it, because it will be sent randomly. This is because there is Wuzhuo's response in it so that it is so fast, otherwise it will take at least an hour. A stick of incense. Wang Yan gritted his teeth and said inwardly, "Fight." His 10,000 shadows can hold 10 breaths in front of the most powerful, and if the source is burnt desperately, it can hold 20 breaths. As long as his luck is not that bad, he will be able to withstand it if he doesn't meet an absolute strong as soon as he enters. This is a gambling. If you encounter a large group of superstars when you just enter, it can only be said that he is unlucky. I choose to take the single-plank bridge, Wang Yan said firmly. Jian Wushuang and Dong Xing looked at each other, not too surprised. As Wang Yan said, he was unwilling to fall. When Dong Xing was the first to enter, he practiced desperately, walking the secret method to the Mahayana, and then followed. Now that Dong Xing is promoted to the sixth-order emperor, he is even more unwilling to stagnate. Jian Wushuang didn't hesitate too much. He didn't have much desire for the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe. He also had a great chance to get it when he arrived at the Tomb Mountain. Besides, he has a Guantian chessboard, which contains the origin of the Lord of the Universe, the inheritance of the first true king. In the Guantian chessboard, there is a chess piece with a general size, which is the inheritance left by the first true king. Among the chess pieces, there are also levels. They are soldiers, generals, handsome, and gods. Now Jian Wushuang can only copy a part of the pawn-sized chess pieces. Only when the chess pieces can be copied, can the inheritance of the first true king be unlocked. However, I heard from the spiritual sense of the first true king that although this inheritance is complete, the secret method created and some cultivation experience are not suitable for him. To say so, no one can guarantee that his power of all things is not picky. He also never thought that the cosmic inheritance obtained by going to the primitive world would be the sword. That's why he chose to give up without hesitation. I am going too. Jian Wushuang was frightened. He never expected that Dong Xing would walk the single-plank bridge. It's all here. If you don't go for a walk, you will regret it for a lifetime. I will accompany you with Wang Yan. Dong Xing grinned. At this moment, he really wanted to be born into a great power between heaven and earth. Wang Yan's expression moved, and then he smiled and said, "Why, you are afraid that I will be inherited from the Lord of the Universe and surpass you. Don't tell me, I was really worried about this." This is obviously a joke, and it can be regarded as the imminent death, which eased the mood of a few people. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, "Then congratulations to the two fellow Taoists in advance for being able to succeed and inherit the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe. These two people are really ready to go desperately. Wang Yan has a lot of shadows, Dong Xing is a sixth-order emperor, and with some means I am afraid that there is also a means to survive under the best. But Jian Wushuang didn't have any of these. Even with the strongest means, it would be good to be able to survive under the sixth-order emperor, not to mention the absolute powerhouse. Friend Wushuang, are you not going?" Dong Xing asked in surprise. Wang Yan cursed with a smile. Jian Wushuang is the ultimate way. Can you compare with him? Forget this, Taoist Wushuang really doesn't have to work hard. Dong Sheng suddenly remembered that Jian Wushuang was walking but the ultimate one, and he will definitely be much stronger than them in the future, with greater potential, and the Temple of Qishuang will focus on training. There is no need to fight like this. Jian Wushuang saw these two fight so hard, his hands were actually itchy, and he couldn't help telling the truth. Actually, I am still a Taoist. If I were an emperor, I would not give up this time. I only blame the difference in strength. I'm really not sure. Jian Wushuang said miserably. When he heard Jian Wushuang was just a Taoist monarch, the surprised eyes of Dong Sheng and Wan Yen were almost staring out. Are you a Taoist? How is this possible? You are not much weaker than the two of us in the blood dance. A Taoist monarch can be comparable to a sixth-order emperor. Wan Yen was most surprised. End of this chapter. Chapter 5486. Although he knew that the ultimate emperor was very powerful, he was much stronger than the same rank. Although they are confident, in the same rank, they have long acquiesced that the ultimate emperor is the strongest. But no Jian Wushuang is so outrageous. A Taoist monarch, comparable to a sixth-order emperor. How many steps are this? Dong Sheng sighed even more from the side and said, It's incomparable, it's incomparable. Back then, the Shang was not as against the sky as you. I thought you were a fourth-order emperor. The fourth-order emperor, being able to be comparable to the sixth-order emperor, is enough to guard against the sky. Who would have thought that Jian Wushuang was a Taoist monarch? Although the demon voice god general had long known that Jian Wushuang was a Taoist lord, his eyes still couldn't help but pick it up. Dao Jun is comparable to the sixth-order emperor. He hasn't been so strong before. At the time, the most dazzling emperor of his contemporaries was Jueyun the Great, but Dao monarch paid little attention. The great emperor Jueyun was not so powerful at the beginning. How is the arrival done? The magic sound will be equally puzzled. There is still the real spirit who is puzzled about this, but knows that there is a huge eye in the starry sky watching Jian Wushuang, and the real spirit can't peep too much. Senior Moine, I choose to leave. Jian Wushuang said calmly. The remarks just now can be regarded as an inspiration to Dong Sheng and Wan Yen. In fact, there is nothing to say if he were the emperor, he would really go up. As long as he breaks through, he is at least the fifth-order emperor. If he can step into the realm of the black hole, he will be the sixth-order emperor if he breaks through. After he became a sixth-order emperor, his strength might be directly comparable to that of an absolute powerhouse. There is no danger of falling, unless he falls into a group of absolute powerhouses and is besieged. But with the universe after becoming an emperor is even more terrifying. Even if a group of extreme peaks, he can escape for his life if he loses. The face of the magic sound general appeared, and his voice said with majesty, Jian Wushuang, your request tells me that I can't do it. You have only one way to choose. You can only walk on the single-plank bridge. What? Jian Wushuang almost cursed. What does it mean? Is the ultimate way of discrimination? Let him go to the single-plank bridge as a Taoist. What if he falls down? Don't talk about a stick of incense when he meets Zhu Dian, he can't hold a breath. When I first met the dragon god, it was because the other party was not in a hurry to kill the killer, but wanted to know why they entered the Hades dojo. If this is to enter the second prison, those vicious ancient existences, seeing him as a Taoist monarch, I am afraid that the end will be miserable. Either he was eaten alive, or his divine body was blown away in one breath, annihilating his origin. This is what Master True Spirit meant. If you have any opinions, you can go to Master True Spirit and say it. The magic sound god general was actually a little surprised, because True Spirit just told him. However, if you walk across the single-plank bridge, the treasures you get are different from them. I know that you have the way of swallowing. Lord True Spirit will bestow a universe origin for you to swallow and help you reach the realm of the black hole. Narrated. These words were also just rumored to him by Zhen Ling, and they told Jian Wushuang verbatim. But Jian Wushuang couldn't be happy. For the first two bridges, he fell no matter how he walked. The first time he took the initiative to go down, and the second time he was forced to go down. This third bridge he has no confidence at all. But Zenling's command is the law of the Temple of Fortune, and no one can violate it. The 4 hall masters heard that. They all had to pinch their noses to recognize. He is a Taoist, where to go to refute. Dong Sheng and Wan Yen came to be good people at this time, and they persuaded each other it was no big deal. That is the origin of the universe. Devour. Only then did they think of the 2 words devoured by the magic sound general. Swallowing? Is it related to the great demon suppressed by the primordial universe? Dong Sheng couldn't help but ask. The face of the magic sound general moved slightly. He just regained his ignorance of the situation of the god. Original universe. Moin God will recall that there is no impression of this universe in his memory, but the person who is talking about it should be the same. The great demon is just a term for the primordial universe, but it is actually one of the 3 Allahs. Was suppressed in the primitive universe. Well, you are ready, you can come up at any time, I am waiting for you on the other side. Moin God will not answer, but there is some sadness in my heart. Speaking of God, it was actually the same as God. That's a piece of meat on the Qishan. Qishan abandoned his proudest avenue, and also the strongest avenue. Otherwise, the last battle will not be lost, and the temple of Qishan will not be reduced to this point like a dog of the mourning family. After the magic sound will retreat, there are only 3 of them left. Friends Wushuang, don't be discouraged, we too will fight for you. After Dong Sheng finished speaking, he was the first to walk on the single-plank bridge. Wan Yen also smiled at him and then followed. At this point, Jian Wushuang was left sitting alone. He was thinking how to get there. There is chaos ahead, and nothing can be seen. I don't know how long this single-plank bridge will be. Anyway, no matter how long it is, there is a 90% chance that he will fall. Dong Sheng and Wan Yen disappeared quickly. Jian Wushuang, who stayed in place, was even more lonely. This is simply cheating me. Jian Wushuang cursed the true spirit in his heart. The attitude towards him was not like that at the beginning. Even Kishan's personal jade board was given to him. How could he be treated like this now? Then I thought about it. If true spirit wasn't holding a grudge, he would definitely not make fun of his life. If it is outside, the true spirit may not be able to control so much. But in the temple of Qishan, the true spirit will not watch him go to death. Besides, this place is the place of inheritance of Qishan temple. This is a good place to think. If you think about it in a bad place, he betrayed the temple of the gods and became the minion of the gods, doing all the bad things, in order to help the White King rebirth, blood sacrifices to the common people. In the end, he helped the gods and resurrected Foigo. The true spirit had to resurrect some gods and generals and guard some important places. He has to memorize this pot. Although Jian Wushuang was also trying to survive, you reading www. Akanshu. In any case, Kam betrayed is betrayed, he has to admit. Hope is to develop in a good direction. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, and then stepped onto the single-plank bridge. But things tend to develop in bad places. Foigo could be resurrected, which was never expected by the real spirit. The opponent came from the starry sky, had a big background, and had an unpredictable strength. Now appearing in the 4 secret realms, in the old nest of the temple of Qishan, the true spirit is now busy and exhausted, and has been looking for Foigo. Fortunately, the true spirit was still in his hands. Foigo originally attacked the 3 kings' court, just to save the Frosa. After he recovers, he will also look for it. The best way today is to negotiate. Can't wait for Foigo's strength to recover to the Lord of the Universe, and break through the Temple of Qishan. By then, there will be no room for negotiation. Chapter 5487. But it was too difficult to restore to that level in the 4 secret realms. It is also possible that Foigo has not recovered, and a super-existence has appeared among the inheritors of the Temple of Qishan. At least looking at it now, Shang's prospects are open, and it is most hopeful to break through and become the Lord of the Universe in a short time. It's just that all this is uncertain. True Spirit wanted to be more secure, as this had something to do with the safety of the Qishan Temple after all. This time, Jian Wushuang had to walk the single-plank bridge, And it was not all punishment, and there was a tilt of resources. Now the Tomb Mountain has opened a lot of treasure troves, and resources are constantly being sent out. The purpose is to cultivate these inheritors faster and stabilize the 4 secret realms. In the future, it will be easier to deal with the plan of the gods and Fuego. If you really want to talk about it, then you can only end up in person to fight a fight. The true spirit has inherited the will of the god, and the strength is not weak. Although it can only be shot in the temple of the god, it is enough. This time, taking out a source of the universe, Jian Wushuang really wanted to cross this single-plank bridge, and everything was resolved. All the previous problems can be solved easily. What can be blocked by the origin of the universe? Reaching the realm of the black hole is inevitable, and then the ultimate kendo can also break through. It's just that Junling didn't know that the problems Jian Wushuang faced were not just these. The breakthrough of mental strength is a major difficulty. The mental strength can't be hit like this. The difficulty of the fusion of the power of thought, the power of swallowing, and the power of all things is no less difficult than that of harmony. These questions the real spirit does not know. Only Jian Wushuang knew how difficult the road ahead was. That is much more difficult than the single-plank bridge right now. After stepping into the single-plank bridge, Jian Wushuang's mind was directly drawn away. That feeling affected his mood all the time. As a result, his mood was broken again and then solidified again. It can actually affect my state of mind. This bridge has a greater impact than the mundane world last time. Jian Wushuang sweated on his forehead, taking every step carefully. You know, the mundane world is under the bridge. This is on the bridge. It's so tormenting people on the bridge. If you fall down, Jian Wushuang could hardly imagine. If you fall, you will be gone. But a little bit, he is still very happy. This bridge is tempering his state of mind. If his state of mind breaks through with his mental strength, it will be double happiness. He can also touch the threshold of the 6th level of mental strength. It's just that this single-plank bridge is more difficult to walk than he thought, and now he is walking entirely by willpower. The complete origin of the universe, I must get it. Jian Wushuang is extremely tough, and no one can shake his belief at this moment. This is the charm of the state of mind. There is also a shortage of many old and dead emperors. In ancient times, emperors would also fall, their spiritual consciousness collapsed, and they would only destroy themselves. If you want a real happy world, first of all, don't be greedy for the beauty of this world. No matter what, it is relative. Giving up everything and getting everything again, this is a perfect state of mind. You know the truth, but how can you give up? If Jian Wushuang had given up on the origin of the universe and given up his life, he would have fallen a long time ago. That's why it is said that the state of mind is the most tormenting. 1 step, 10,000 steps. The thing that made Jian Wushuang collapse the most was that he didn't know where the end was. Can only go on blindly. He didn't feel the end. Or it may be the end of time. Maybe it was only a moment, but he felt it was over. Jian Wushuang had this feeling before. It was like this in the starry sky. He clearly couldn't feel the of time, but he saw the planet's prosperous growth. I don't know how long it took, Jian Wushuang began to have hallucinations. He saw Dongxing and Wan Yan waving to him in front of him, and they waved excitedly on the other side to signal him to persevere. Even the indifferent and speechless magic sound general nodded to him. In a daze, the beautiful picture flashed by again. The scene ahead turned into a picture of Dongsheng's fall. Wan Yan was trembling and was almost unable to hold on. Dongsheng plunged into the bottomless abyss. The magic sound will also jump down. That scene was very miserable. Jian Wushuang shook his head and woke up suddenly. No, they are all fake. He roared angrily, trying to wake himself up. At this time, a voice interrupted him. Master, have you entered the illusion again? An old voice sounded. The screen began to freeze and change. That is on the star in the sky. The old man is his apprentice. This is... Jian Wushuang was stunned. Why is he here again? Is everything an illusion? Jian Wushuang couldn't believe it, so he shot it straight away, fearing that the person in front of him would die with the palm of his hand. The old man had doubts and panic in his eyes, and then he was relieved. All fake. Jian Wushuang's thought power moved, but he found that his thought power had weakened, and his strength had also weakened. He was obviously a Taoist who was about to reach consummation. How could he become a Yenxian again? Everything in front of me became more real. Rushing out of the wooden house, he saw human race. I saw the burly man with a stone axe on his back, like a savage. He is leading the human race to expand the territory, and the strong men who died under his axe are in an endless stream. Then the screen changes again. Jian Wushuang sneered and said, "Sure enough, they are all fake." But this time he saw the temple of Qishan. In other words, it is the temple of Qishan that has not been built. A majestic figure sits on the throne, preaching to sentient beings, and behind him is a group of emperors who are moving some realms and throwing themselves into the 4 secret realms. Jian Wushuang looked down on the towering figure and looked at it desperately. He still couldn't see clearly. He could only see the jade board on the thumb of the existence. "Qishan?" Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. His voice made some monarchs who listened to Taoism or the Lord of the Universe feel dissatisfied, and turned their heads and glared at him. Jian Wushuang swallowed, so scared that he dared not move. Then the scene changed again. Still misunderstanding. But this time the ambiguity gave him a very vicissitudes of life. He sat lonely on the throne, and there was no one in the dojo. The picture expanded. Jian Wushuang not only saw the gods, but also saw that the entire Morwa time and space was full of evil aura, which was the power to swallow. These evil auras enveloped the temple of Qishan. Except for the temple of Qishan, the entire Morwa time and space was occupied by these evil auras. Qishan raised his head, as if he had found Jian Wushuang, and said weakly, "In the beginning, why were you?" The words are not finished yet. Time stands still, back to back. It seemed that there was some kind of power to stop anything. Jian Wushuang could not see the face of the gods. But Jian Wushuang didn't think much about it himself. He only felt that all this was fake, and he didn't care at all. Who knows who he is talking to? Now he just wants to get rid of the illusion in front of him. Otherwise, it will sink deeper and deeper. End of this chapter. Chapter 5488. A wave of tenacity allowed Jian Wushuang to break away from the scene that was pulling him. Jian Wushuang's eyes were a little dull. He really saw too many pictures. There are the gods of ancient times, and everything in the starry sky. All kinds of pictures, although they are just a few words, but also have a certain connection. It is a connection in time. There is no Mahayana in the Jian Wushuang space now, and it is even more useless in terms of time. Simply treat all these images as environments and turn a deaf ear to it. His eyes only stared at the single plank bridge ahead. The steps are taken again. One day the universe's complete origin of the universe was waving at him, and he couldn't fall. Fall down, but it's all over. Not only can I get nothing, but my life will be lost. The 3 of them walked up to the single plank bridge, facing the threat of death. Jian Wushuang's thoughts arose suddenly, and he had just come out of the Pluto dojo, which caused them to face the fear of death, which I am afraid there is a connection. It is related to Pluto. Pluto represents death. Now walking on the single plank bridge, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to think about it. Once his mood was shaken, he could fall down at any time. Without the support of those pictures, he was finally able to move forward steadily. I don't know how long I have been walking. A figure appeared in front of him, standing motionless on the bridge. The figure is familiar, but it is not Dong Sheng and Wan Yen. Who? Jian Wushuang's eyes condensed. It seems that he has seen this figure many times. Behind that figure, Jian Wushuang stopped. He didn't dare to move forward, because the figure was motionless and he didn't know what to do. Just when he was at a loss, the figure slowly turned around and smiled. "It's me, Jian Wushuang." Jian Wushuang was too familiar with that smile. "Teacher Xian Yi." Jian Wushuang's state of mind suddenly shattered, and all the sights disappeared in an instant. Many doubts in his heart appeared in his mind, but Xian Yi's figure had begun to recede. He wanted to reach out to stop him, but his center of gravity was unstable and he fell directly onto the log bridge. At this time Jian Wushuang thought that it was an illusion. Still caught. The moment he fell off the single-plank bridge, Jian Wushuang recovered, stretched his hands forward, trying to catch something, but couldn't catch it anyway. He kept falling, and the single-plank bridge above became clearer and clearer, and the more he fell, the muddy air became thinner and thinner. On the single-plank bridge, Dongsheng took the lead and was almost on the other side, and Wanyan was also insisting on walking. Only he fell into the abyss. In the abyss, Jian Wushuang saw a familiar scene. There is a black hole. He is moving forward in the black hole. Presumably this is the entrance to the second prison. Now I can only pray that the magic sound will be able to fish him out quickly. Jian Wushuang was finally able to control his figure in the black hole. He didn't seem so embarrassed, but his mood was a bit lonely. He didn't know the danger ahead, he only knew that even the most powerful might fall. Suddenly, there was a figure approaching him in front of him, and Jian Wushuang was stunned for a moment. The magic sound god general said at the beginning that this passage is one way. How could anyone reverse the direction and walk towards the single-plank bridge? The figure was getting closer, and Jian Wushuang's heart also mentioned his throat. It's not that you are afraid of the person in front of you. But he discovered that the figure seemed to be himself, or a clone of him. That was the clone he had split up in Mo Luo Kingdom. Since entering the black hole, the clone has not been able to come out. You can only comprehend the mystery of the black hole in it. There are very few that can actually help him, so I haven't managed it anymore. Any consumption. I didn't expect to be able to meet my own clone here. In addition to being shocked, Jian Wushuang was also ecstatic in his heart. The good news is that he can change the deity, let the clone go to the second prison, and he can return to the single-plank bridge again. Just the exchange of mind power, Jian Wushuang's substantial treasures will all be left in the second prison. Of course, except for the treasure of time and space, Guantian chessboard, but the beasts and soldiers on his body will be left behind. Jian Wushuang was a little entangled. On the one hand, he was betting his life, and on the other hand, he was abandoning part of the treasure. I can't afford to bet. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He really couldn't bet. If it really fell, he would have nothing. The true spirit can resurrect the strong man in Qishan Temple, but he cannot resurrect him, the strong man in the primitive universe. If he falls, the soul fragment will return to the original universe. The true spirit can't get his soul fragments out of the original universe. Without soul fragments, time and space cannot be reversed. The outside world, but the time and space of a primitive universe, the same master of the universe, cannot fish out the fragments unless they control the primitive universe. None of them in this long river of time and space can do it, so don't think about it. So he dare not gamble. The beast god soldier has no new parts for a long time, and now it is of little help to him. His divine body has approached 50,000 times, and the current maximum blessing of the beasts is only 50,000 times. Except for the guardian body, there is no help. The precious thing is that the other party can continue to improve. Moreover, the beasts and gods accompany him all the way, helping him through several hardships, and it is a dilemma for a time. If the deity falls, it will be dead. If you exchange the deity, the treasure will be lost if you go down. He now has to make a choice. Farewell. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes, a powerful thought force burst out, and instantly burst out of his body and entered the clone. Then the clone facing the single-plank bridge became the deity, and the deity with a lot of treasures became the clone, rushing in the direction of the second prison. After the change, Jian Wushuang was actually worried that something might happen, but fortunately there was none. He is now returning in the direction he came from, which makes him very happy. Although it is a pity for the beasts, the value of a complete universe is much higher than that of the beasts. When the 9 great beasts were born, they were bestowed by the gods. You reading www.akanshu.com. There are one for each of the 3 major gods, followed by some personal disciples, and a master of the universe who has made great contributions. And the beast soldier, Candle Dragon, fell into the hands of the master of the universe. He is not the core of Qishan's command, but he has got the beast soldiers, which is quite legendary. At the beginning, in Morua time and space, The birth of the beast warrior could surpass the treasure of the universe. Although it could not reach the level of time and space, it was already the highest treasure in Morwa time and space. The three kings of the Three Kings Court, if it were not for the first true king to get the Guantian chessboard given to him by Xian Yi, they would not even have a treasure comparable to the beasts. This was the big power that could be ranked in the top of Morwa time and space at that time. They are very greedy for the beasts. Now Jian Wushuang gave up on his own. End of this chapter. Chapter 5489. He once searched for the news about the beasts. Some accessories are still left in the 4 secret realms. He just doesn't have time to find them one by one. Once he succeeds in the path, he will be able to restore the beasts with time. Even if the beast weapon is not intact and recovers half of its power, it will be stronger than the ordinary treasure of the universe, and it will be enough for him to gallop into the realm of the emperor. It's a pity. Jian Wushuang glanced back inside. If it wasn't about life and death, he wouldn't do it. The clone plunged into the bottomless abyss and out of the black hole. There is the real purgatory. As soon as Jian Wushuang's clone entered, a brown flame appeared on the face, which directly annihilated his body without leaving a trace. And what spewed out the flames was a huge lava behemoth, 1,000,000 miles in size. On its body, there are countless caves, and flames are erupting from time to time among them. Yep. The lava behemoth felt a familiar breath. This is wings, scales, arms, and an eye. It was Jian Wushuang's left-behind beastshin weapon accessory that was impacted by that flame and separated instantly. Candle Dragon! The lava monster exclaimed. There was endless anger in the huge eyes. It slowly stood up, and a pair of huge wings opened, which was very similar to the wings of a candle dragon. The 7th generation of descendants, Mengen, has seen the ancestor. That is what its ancestors left behind. At the beginning, the first generation of the beast candle dragon was cut and refined into the beast weapon by the gods, but there were some innate beasts. They left offspring and regarded the candle dragon as the ancestor. Zhulong is a powerhouse like the Three Kings, so naturally there will be followers. A violent figure appeared instantly. It's just that this figure is not the magic sound general, but the two of Shanjun and Wuzhua. Old man gone, who are you going to the grave for? Wuzhua sneered. Mangon saw Wuzhua and suddenly roared, Wuzhua! Before Mangon got angry, Shanjun turned into his body. It was an evil behemoth with a shadow, with only one eye, and the sharp cry made people palpitate. Random, I'm afraid I can't leave these things to you. Shanjun sneered. Since he came here, because he was once a part of the gods, the wild beasts suppressed here, or some special beings, have long hated the gods and hunted down the mountain monarch. Over the years, Lord Shan has been on the run, and now Wuzhua has descended, holding the key to the second prison, and those old guys are hiding far away. Shanjun also leaked the old fangs, ready to take revenge on these old guys. He was not afraid of being retaliated after Wuzhua left. Anyway, these guys never intended to let him go. The mountain monarch turned into the body. The battle power shakes the world. Wuzhua, who stood by, was very surprised. It was the legendary figure who took the shot at the beginning to capture Shanjun. Some gods and generals are not opponents of Shanjun, and Shanjun's combat power can be imagined. The violent power was accompanied by a black fist shadow, and then 1,000,000 fist shadows burst out. That power eclipsed the heavens and the earth, and the solid body of the lava behemoth was shattering. Aren't you looking for me all the time? Shanjun completely blasted the lava behemoth into the ground, and the aura was weak to the extreme. He raised his head, looked at the ancient existences hiding in the distance, and said with disdain, What? You are scared? Those ancient existences are not afraid of Lord Shan, but of the key in Wu's left hand, which is a token that can suppress all the strong in the second prison at will. Although Shanjun's strength is strong, he can't do it against the crowd. A bunch of cowardly mice. When my master was still there, you guys, you don't even deserve to be here. Wu's voice was cold. When I heard the gods, these ancient beings held their breath. Even if the gods have fallen for so long, they are still afraid of each other. Even if the name of the gods comes out, they will tremble. Seeing that no one responded, Shanjun gave the accessories of the beast warrior to Wuzhua and exhorted, "Help me bring a sentence to that little guy. It's not wrong to swallow it. Black holes will be born in the universe. We are not to blame." Wuzhua was a little embarrassed when he heard it and did not agree, but he did not refute. It is understandable that these things helped Jian Wushuang bring back. "You should go, I will leave later." Without token suppression, these old guys are still a bit difficult. Shan Jun nodded, then disappeared in the blink of an eye, and Wuzhua frightened the other party with a stick of incense, manipulated the token, and left the second prison at will. He wants to rush back to his life. The Temple of Qishan, the origin of the sea. Zhen Ling stared, pacing in the pavilion, and muttered in his mouth, "How did he get back to the top? You are all responsible for this matter. It is obviously a one-way passage. How can he go the same way?" Returned. A Taoist monarch can go against the wind. If you let the old guys escape, I don't think you have to do it. Go to the second prison and find a good feng shui place to bury it yourself. In the pavilion, in addition to the true spirit, there are the magic sound Will and Wuzhua. The channel was made by the magic sound god General and Wuzhua, and naturally these two people were responsible. Wuzhua originally wanted to use this method to go to the realm, throwing all the Keeman rebellions to the second prison, and they would kill them if they saved it. Now it seems that the plan is not working. Otherwise, with this credit, he can attack the palace lord's position again. All the bad things happen to him. But this matter, I also have to thank Jian Wushuang. The first one to fall was Jian Wushuang. He was able to find out in advance, and it could be regarded as saving his life. Otherwise, if the passage enters the earth boundary and a group of ancient existences are released, he will be finished. I am afraid that all the 4 secret realms will be over. Almost made a big mistake. At that time, I am afraid that the true spirit will kill him for the sacrifice flag. Also, the benefits you promised from you reading www.akanshu.com are all gone now. You come out on your own, especially the origin of the universe. It's fine to be scolded. After all, the temper of Zhenling is that individuals will be scolded when they come, and Wuzhua is used to it. When I heard that I was about to pay from my own pocket, my expression was stunned. Zhenling stared at her small eyes, walked to Wuzhua and lay on the opponent's face, and said in a low voice, "What? Are you not convinced?" "No, no." Wuzhua hurriedly waved his hand, and then explained, "My lord, even if you sell me, you won't get a source of the universe. The origin of the Lord of the Universe is actually similar to the Emperor, and it is the complete origin contained in the body. All you need to do is to let a master of the universe strip away his origin. The master of the universe without the origin will probably go into deep sleep immediately. After sleeping for a few epochs and awake, the origin of origin is half restored by me, and then I have to practice countless epochs, only to be able to restore the peak." End of this chapter. Chapter 5490. The above method is the most difficult if you want to obtain a complete cosmic origin, and no one will do that. The easiest way to get the origin of the universe is to destroy a primitive universe, and to kill a master of the universe. Regardless of which one, Wuzhua couldn't do it anyway. If he only got a set of the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe, he would be able to get it together, take out some treasures, and then go and say something nice to the Lord Suzaku. If it doesn't work, just buy a copy from the Palace of the Elders for a big price. But the origin of the universe, he really has no way to get it. This is too embarrassing. Looking at Wuzhua, who was wronged by Bala, Zhenling looked away and said lightly, "Since you don't have money to pay, then go and do something for me, which becomes the origin of the universe. I will help you out. If it can't be done, go and mine." Yes. Wuzhua agreed. This can only be done now. The magic sound will be okay. He doesn't want to eat the true spirit. When the time comes, he will go and fudge Dong Sheng and Wan Yen, lend the other party 10 courage, and dare not ask for the inheritance of the Lord of the Universe. In a big deal, he passed on his own inheritance to the two for cultivation. He is the ultimate emperor, and the faculties he created are not much worse than those of the masters of the universe. If you have enough power, if you have enough strength, you can go to the Tomb Mountain to pass on the universe. Moyin, you can withdraw first. I will talk to Wuzhou within a few minutes. Zhenling waved his hand, indicating that Moyin God will leave first. Moyin God will salute respectfully, and then leave. He didn't want to stay here any longer. He didn't want to know what to say to Wuzhou. Now Jian Wushuang, they can return to the other side and wait for him, just like hungry baby birds, waiting for him to feed back. It's just that this time disappointed them a bit. Moyin Mountain, below the demon suppression space. Jian Wushuang and Dong Xing finished talking very happily. All three of them succeeded, which was never expected. Before going on the single-plank bridge, they all made preparations for their fall. Unexpectedly, they all succeeded. Friend Wushuang, you are really amazing. Even if Dongxing can pass, this guy will become the 6th emperor. He can pass and it is normal. You can walk down as a Taoist, and you are really admirable. Wan Yen holding the wine glass, he touched Jian Wushuang, and then drank it in one gulp. The few people were so happy that they had already drank it here while waiting for the demon voice god general, and after meeting out, they had to celebrate for a few days, and by the way introduced some 5th-order emperors of the primitive universe to Jian Wushuang. After all, everyone is considered to be a strong man in the home universe, and naturally they will get close to each other in the future. Now the Tomb God Mountain is no longer the bigger family of their universe. More and more powerful people in different universes have risen, and they are beginning to gather together for warmth. They should also form the power of the original universe, and this matter cannot be delayed. If the true spirit knew that the inheritors he had cultivated had already begun to prepare for another mountain, he didn't know what he would think. When Dong Xing heard what Wan Yin said, he laughed and cursed, "Wan Yin, you are jealous of me." The three smiled similarly, and then raised their glasses again. Touted each other a lot. "Friend Dongxing, when are you going to go to the Tomb Mountain?" Jian Wushuang asked, talking about business. Seeing this, Wan Yan's expression became serious. This time they all successfully passed the single-plank bridge. Although Wan Yan did not break through the black hole realm, it was unexpected that he broke through mentally and directly reached the level of mental consummation. Many Judian did not reach this level, but Wan Yan went to the forefront. After going out this time, even if there is no inheritance from the Lord of the Universe, Wan Yan can quickly break through the mirror and attack the 6th-order emperor. However, Jian Wushuang suffered a miserable loss this time. When the single-plank bridge walked down, Jian Wushuang was the general of Sun Bing. It can be said that he lost his armor and abandoned his armor, and now he is only waiting for the origin of the universe to return blood back and forth. Dongxing heard the words and said calmly, "I am not in a hurry now, and I will leave after accepting the inheritance. I'm also going to go to the realm. I heard that it's chaotic right now. I'm just going to have a break, but I won't stay for too long. Then I will go to the human realm and go to the tomb of the gods." Jian Wushuang's heart moved, but he didn't expect that this plan had been planned, and he was a little envious. However, since the other party chooses to go to the realm halfway, maybe he can still catch up with the other party, and then he can go together. True Spirit said at the beginning that if you can't use external force, you can't ask for a helper, but the inheritors who go to the tomb's sacred mountain together are not helpers. "Go to the realm. How long are you going to go?" Wan Yan asked. His thoughts were the same as Jian Wushuang's. It would be best to have a few more people on the road. Dong Xing hesitated, and then said, "It depends on the situation. It can be as short as 10,000 years, and the longest is no more than one era. That is within an epoch? You can wait for me. I estimate that it will be able to break through in 1 billion years. With the lowest flow rate of time, it will take 1,000,000 years." Wan Yin said, "Usually closed, the required flow rate will not be too large, otherwise some intervention in its own origin, unless it is very anxious, will start 10,000 times or even 1,000,000 times the time flow rate. An era." Jian Wushuang let out a breath. With the blessing of the origin of the universe, even a pig, an era can break through. Dong Sheng and Wan Yan looked at Jian Wushuang at the same time and asked, "Taoist Wushuang, Are you going to go to the tomb mountain after breaking through the emperor? Yes, otherwise I will go forward with my current strength, and it will be a little bit of a hindrance. No need for the other party to be polite, Jian Wushuang told the truth. If he is not in harmony, he has this strength at the moment, even if the other party kindly takes him with him, he will not have the face to go. The strong are all with arrogance and dignity, and he doesn't want to be led by others. The two also understood that they hadn't seen anything after living for so many years. Jian Wushuang's hope of being able to go against the sky like this, I am afraid that the hope of success in Hidao will not come. They didn't ask much, just a blessing. Jian Wushuang also smiled and nodded, accepting this kindness. His path of harmony is still a bit long. The first is consummation, then removes the cause and effect to kill the robbery, so as to greet Hidao with the most perfect posture. For an era, he has no confidence yet. From week to present, in terms of normal time flow, it is only hundreds of thousands of years. But add the time flow rate, especially the time spent in the starry sky, I'm afraid there are several epochs. The mentality has already changed drastically. Especially in terms of time, an era is not too long. Jian Wushuang has been in a hurry, racing against time, and dare not delay for a moment. In the future, if the harmony is successful, he intends to rest for a period of time, not too long, just 10,000 years, calm down, leave the Qixin temple, and go to Dcu to take a look. Go back to the old world and look at those old friends. End of this chapter. Chapter 5491. Then Jian Wushuang pressed this thought to the bottom of his heart, because the magic sound is coming. This time it was the deity. The vast aura on the body of the magic sound general made them yearn for and fear. Space is trembling. This is the ultimate emperor standing on the peak of the emperor. Congratulations, successfully passed the 3 bridges. The magic sound god general said gently. The 3 of them were very surprised. The voices of the magic sound gods used to be cold or majestic. Why did they treat them so well this time? Is it because it passed the test? But they didn't think much about it. They really didn't think that the magic sound would not be able to fulfill the promise made to them. The magic sound will look at the 3 people with eyes full of hope, and he can't bear it, but there is no way. He has just recovered and there are not many treasures. Do you know what these 3 bridges represent? The magic sound will not talk about the reward and begin to talk about the 3 bridges. The 3 of them don't know why, but they are not in a hurry. Because they are also very curious about it. Moin God will carefully explain the origin of the 3 bridges to the 3 of them. It turned out that this was once a place to make up messengers after the test. As long as you pass, you can become a follow-up messenger under the command of the gods. Everyone who is tested is a 6th-order emperor at the lowest level. As long as you pass, you can become a post-replenisher, and then with a series of training, you can hope to become one of the 108 messengers. Of course, in addition to the 108 core messengers, there is also a position of deacon. These replacement messengers will also walk in time and space as deacons in the Temple of Qixin. This status is also very high, but they are all post-supplement messengers, and they will be the person next to Qixin. So when these 3 bridges were set up, many 6th-order emperors under the command of the Lord of the Universe came to pass through the barrier. Is just the difficulty at that time a bit more difficult than it is now? After all, this place has been abandoned for too long, and some of the tests have lost their effect. After the magic sound will explain, he asked, "Would you like to be the core member of the Temple of Qixin?" Hearing this sentence, the 3 of them were all taken aback. Especially Dongsheng and Wan Yen nodded almost at the same time. Dongsheng, I am willing. I am finished, I am willing. Both of them are very excited, the true core of the Temple of Qixin. Who would not want to? Jian Wushuang stood by, looking at these 2 people, and sighed in his heart. They don't know Jian Wushuang knows. There is no core power in this divine temple. This magic sound general is bluffing the 2 of them. Now in the entire Qixin temple, there is only one person who dares to say that it is the core, and that is the true spirit. At the beginning, it was said that the construction of the Senate Palace was directly out of the control of the four main halls. Has now developed into the fifth force. As for the core of the magic sound of the gods, it was in the ancient times, the messenger and the gods were indeed the core, but there were also the gods behind, and there were three gods. Now there is a magic sound general, and then add a Yunzhongjin. Just these two people, Jian Wushuang didn't look down on them either. Together, these two people weren't enough to fight the Qinglong Palace master alone, and he dared to claim to be the core. The most important thing is power. Power in the temple of Qishan. Outside the Qinglong Palace, there is no way to go outside now, so naturally it is useless, so almost no one has taken refuge in the Qinglong Palace. In the White Tiger Hall, many people have taken refuge in the White Tiger Hall, flaunting their might in the four secret realms, because the White Tiger Hall is so influential. The Vermilion Bird Palace is in charge of the selection of trialers and plundering tasks from the outside world. The power is not big, but to speak of it, the inheritors of the Tomb God Mountain, except for those who are already emperors, all pass by the Vermilion Bird Palace. They still have a good impression of the Suzaku Hall. Some people take the initiative to join, and they will be given a lot of treasures. After all, the Suzaku Hall controls the primordial realm, where 90% of the treasures in the Qishan Temple are stored. There are 10% left, half in the hands of the True Spirit, and half in the hands of the White Tiger Palace. Although Zhu Yi is a bit rigid, he is not bad for his subordinates, so he has attracted many inheritors. As for the Xuanwu Temple, I don't comment because I haven't shown up. From the four halls alone, most people will go to the White Tiger and Suzaku Hall. The new Power Veteran Palace has the strongest control in the northern realm of the heavens. There are also many treasures, and there are many inheritors who take refuge, but they are somewhat average in strength, and most of them are mediocre people. It is also an elite that is attracted by the accumulation of a large number of treasures given by the True Spirit. You magic sound general, just relying on the empty words of the core power, you want to fool people. Is also believed by Dongxing and Wanyan who have not been in the temple for a long time. Jian Wushuang can't be fooled by this. The magic sound general also noticed Jian Wushuang and asked, "What about you, Jian Wushuang?" "God, Lord Wuzhuar is kind to me, I have promised to stay in the Senate Palace." Jian Wushuang replied respectfully. The magic sound god general smiled lightly and said, "Almost forgot, you have some connection with brother Wuzhua." Jian Wushuang doesn't go, and the magic sound will not force to stay. Because of the benefits of Jian Wushuang in Wuzhua. Since the two of you have agreed, take these 2 tokens with you. I have 4 secret realms distributed in the Dharmakaya. You can contact me at any time if you need it, and I will send you out here. Yes. Dongxing and Wanyan are very happy, they have backing. The idea of the older generation is as simple as that. No matter where you go, you are still unreliable without a backing. Now that you have a backing, your back is straight. The eyes of the 3 of them went black, and when they reappeared, they had already reached the demon suppression space. Dongsheng and Wanyan stay, Jian Wushuang can leave, brother Wuzhua is waiting for you outside. Jian Wushuang respectfully replied, "Yes," finally left. "I'm afraid it has been here for the least 10,000 years. After leaving the Magic Sound Hall is the top of Moyne Mountain. After many people felt Jian Wushuang's breath, gathered around. "Wu Shuang Taoist fellow, why did you come out so soon?" The Emperor Zhu Tian was a little surprised. Jian Wushuang was taken aback for a moment, and it was only tens of thousands of years, which was actually a very short time. Someone interjected, "In the Magic Sound Hall, there must be time to accelerate." Actually, there is very little time for real acceleration. When walking on the single-plank bridge, Jian Wushuang didn't care about the time. It is estimated that there will be time to accelerate at that time. In the rest of the time, I wasted a long time on that dark trail when I walked the first bridge. These people, you say every sentence and I want to know what's going on inside. Jian Wushuang didn't want to say it, but couldn't say it. At this moment, Wuzhua came over. I want to know, then go in and have a look." Wuzhuo's complexion was a little cold, and he didn't even look at it. When he came to Jian Wushuang, his voice was slightly softened and said, "Jian Wushuang, come with me." "Yes." Seeing Wu's face, the others didn't dare to step forward, so they could only leave lonely and find a place to continue practicing. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.